Welcome back to the Culture Crusade. John, good to see you. It is good to be back. Had to take a week off because I've just been wiped out. There's a bit of a backstory as to why exactly. So first of all, let's people arrive. I'll jump over to the chat. Confirm that you all can hear me. John, just to confirm your voice. Yeah. Sound is all good. Alrighty, we got some fun topics to talk about today. But the reason why there was no live stream last week, right? I did something special for Shad, and it was this. So we're testing out a new sword. We got a whole pig. To chop
That
up.
ain't no pool noodle.
No. So it even has the eyes, man. We might need to blur out the eyes because it might freak some people. I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm like, yeah, that's because we hack this thing up to test what it's like, a real flesh analog to see if you could decapitate, a target with some of the swords we got, and we had a special one, the execution sword, and so we had a heck of a lot of fun. Thing is, though, this pig weighs as much as a person, man. And so moving that around, getting all the shots we needed, testing all the swords. It was such a crazy, intensive day of filming for me that it wiped me out. Just my chronic fatigue. Just after that day, I was gone, and I've been laid out the entire week, and I wasn't able to do the regular Culture Crusade live stream was the day after, and I was beyond wrecked, and I'm still not fully recovered on it. If I feel like I don't have as much energy today, this is because of that. Yeah, those eyes are intense. It's seen things, man. It's seen things, and we test if we could, get through its neck in one solid swing with the executioner sword. Thing is, though, a pig's neck is like 4 times thicker than a person's neck. So it's a lot harder. But then we hang it from a tree, and
that just means you need a sword that's 4 times as sharper.
Yeah. Well, gosh, we had fun because not only did we test the executioner sword, we tested a whole range of the other Romance of Men swords. And oh my goodness, we did some things. It's like I wanted to see if a sword could get through like a human's wrist, like if you could properly disarm someone, right? And so we tested it against the pig's wrist, but the pig's wrist bone is like twice as thick as a human's wrist. Man, let's just say swords were used for a reason, people. Like, some of these swords were so devastatingly effective, they kind of scared me. And so we've got some fun sword content on Shadowverse. But anyway, that's the explanation why I'm still wiped out. That just destroyed me.
Did you at least have like a really good barbecue afterwards? Like, I know the cuts were probably not very clean, but I mean, hey, look, no matter how you cut up a pig, it's still pretty tasty.
Yeah. So what happened is the company that sent us the sword to review, they wanted us to do something special with it, so they actually paid for the pig for us because they were so excited for us to review this sword, and we're like, sure. And then what are we gonna do? This is actually a fresh, properly sourced, properly prepared, food grade pig, just not chopped up. So after we did all the things with our swords, then we kind of divided it into more manageable chunks, and it's all frozen. And so I got like a whole pig of meat in the freezer now. And so, after we did the thing, we needed to still divide it, like chop off the ribs from the spine and things like that. Yeah, we did it with a sword, and it was just like, boom, done, like through bone and everything. Swords were used for a reason, man. These things are crazy. Now, people are saying my audio is choppy. Is my audio choppy? Like, confirm in the chat.
It was a little choppy earlier. I couldn't tell if it was from my end or not, but looks like it might be from yours. You sound a little better right now.
A little better? Hopefully it'll clear up. I'm using, a good mic. I don't know what to do. And apart from maybe chucking it in a another USB slot, but saying, okay, sounds good now. Not anymore. Hopefully it'll maintain its quality. But how have you been, John? How was your week?
If you will permit me a moment.
Okay, yes.
I have something that's been just eating away at me. It's been building for months. And I've used a level of scientific autism that is right on the level with your sword videos. Okay. I have tried this over and over again, and I have replicated this multiple times. And as of last week, over the weekend, there is absolutely no doubt. See, Shad, I like yard work. Okay. I like it a lot. I actually think it's good exercise. I touch grass. I get out there. I mow the grass a little bit. But there's one thing that really gets under my skin. It's weed eating. And I have a weed eater. This thing's only about a year old. Now, I've had bad luck with weed eaters in the past.
For context, because there's different terms in America and Australia. So in Australia, we have a thing called a weed whacker. And it's one of those ones with the spinning, wire. Yep. That's on the end of a pole. Yep.
Now I have an ample amount of mechanical aptitude. It's a guy thing. I'm a man. I am not just proficient with machinery. I am educated. Okay. I've got an actual degree, an associate's degree in industrial instrumentation that shows I know what I'm doing when it comes to these machines. So for the past year that I've owned this thing, it has vexed me by not starting. I hate weed eaters in general because the weed eaters after a while, they stop working for me. And my idea of fixing a weed eater is buying a new weed eater, which I don't like doing because they're not inexpensive. Okay. Now this weed eater, I'm going to tell you why I'm so mad. This weed eater, I will sit there for hours and crank on it, and I will push the starter button. I will put fresh gas in it. I will do everything I can possible, and it will not start until I call my wife and she tries it. And that's what pisses me off the most about this, Shad. I have done this so many times over the past months. I will try and start this machine. I'll flood it. I'll wait. I'll come back to it. And it will never start. But my wife will come out there and say, let me try. And she'll give it one dainty little pull, and it starts right up. And I cannot fathom what the course of cosmic reality that I live in that causes this particular action, Shad, because for some reason, she can't start it from the start. I can't start it from the start. No, I have to. The cosmic powers that be decided that I have to fail at this task multiple times in order for my wife to come out there and humiliate me, because God is a comedian and I am his greatest joke.
You sound like you've got... Oh, that's hilarious. You sound like you've got the technology curse. Some people just have the technology curse. And my wife actually is the one that has it in, she'll be trying to do something with technology and something's wrong with the computer and she can't do it. And I'll come over and first press. Done.
Yes, I have that exact problem too. She will get on this computer and it will cause problems I've never seen in my life. And I'll come in and I'll fix it almost immediately. Yes, pray to the machine's spirit, the Omnisaya, please bless my weed eater. Now, I never had this problem with the lawnmowers. I never had this problem with any other functional piece of technology that I work with. I will ride lawnmowers until they disintegrate underneath me, and then a fresh battery will make them start back up. I've owned equipment that is just decrepit, looks like it was from the Bronze Age. But my God, this weed eater will not start until my wife starts it for me, and it's the greatest shame in my life.
I mean, you shouldn't feel ashamed for it. These things happen there, John. Sometimes, sometimes men just have performance issues. We understand this type of thing, right? So, with weed whackers,
Glad I wasn't drinking coffee when you said that.
I'm trying to think now what could be the cosmic cause for this. Why would it, just
I do feel like there's an aspect, a little karmatic eddy where something comes and twists around, right? Where there's one man thing that your wife inexplicably does better than you. And that's kind of where this falls in with me. And I guess I should be grateful, but man, I just want to start the weed eater and go with it. I bought an electric one. It was too underpowered.
Oh my God.
Only the 2-stroke little gas engines do it for me. But man, it's vexing. It's very strange. And again, I can only assume it's because God has a sense of humor, and he does. And I've seen this. Let me tell you the story one day when we have time about the crack pipe cowboy, one of God's greatest jokes on me. It's I can't figure it out. Like, why the weed eater, God? You know,
I know. It's one of those random things, and like I said, is there a cosmic reason? Is there a reason why your wife might have a connection with weed eater? We call it weed whacker here in Australia. I don't know. It's one of those questions for eternity to ponder on. Now, just to we have a lot of fun subjects. The main subject today is going to be the Odyssey. Oh boy, like I've just been watching, but we'll hold off on that a little bit until some more people kind of show up as we're just introing it. But we got other topics, and one of the topics that I'm really intrigued about, right, John, is one that's right up your alley. In fact, it was you that brought this to my attention, where I was like, okay, you need to, just like the weed whacker, you need to inform me about what is going on with this, because, all right, John, you and I, we have talked a bit about the problems in the fantasy genre. You and I are both authors, okay? We're indie authors, but the mainstream publishing scene, especially in fantasy, is just a disaster, okay? About what they're focusing on and what they want to publish. And you've found something that takes it to a whole new level here. This is actually crazy.
Yeah. This was pretty abhorrent. I'm not gonna lie. And you know, we all many months ago, I was aware of the Minotaur milking farm book that was, you know, just disgusting. And the romantasy genre has its defenders, and it's not all smut, mind you. But this really rubs me the wrong way, because it is.
I want to jump on just to give some people some background about what's going on in case they're coming in fresh to before we get to what we're going to be talking about. Right? Is the mainstream publishing industry, especially in fantasy, have been hiring and publishing almost purely on DEI policies for how long now? It's like 10 years or more now.
It definitely started in about, I want to say 2012, 2013, when a lot of older publishing editors and owners started retiring, and they turned they turned the reins over to people who kind of fill out those DEI quotients.
Mm-hmm. And so, no joke. Oh, sorry, go.
It's very apparent in the output that's been presented to us over the last decade and a half.
Yeah, like if you go to literary agents and what they're looking for, we're looking for diverse, unique stories from diverse, authors and stuff like that. And what that basically means, if you're a straight white man and you're writing a story about a straight white man, like I don't know, human fighter adventure in a fantasy setting, right? No hope.
I don't know who said it, but there was a phrase that got bandied around in those circles, which was male and pale is stale. And they thought that, bringing in more diverse voices and women. I'll find it if you want. Well, the current crop of Hugo Award nominees.
I can only imagine.
It's the biggest bunch of DEI contest. It's like a DEI contest at this point. The Hugo Awards used to really mean something, and after the sad puppies incident that happened many years ago, which is a lot to get into, but basically that's about the point when the entire thing kind of shifted away from who was selling more. You've got Hugo nominees right now that are earning less than mid-level indie authors.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because it's not based on sales or quality.
Yes, absolutely. And the Hugo Awards, in case people are wondering, that used to be the most prestigious literary publishing awards, thing. And that people still might consider them the biggest, but because there like so many controversies around the Hugo Awards and how they basically deny people based on immutable characteristics or the protagonist books, everything like that, lost all credibility right at this point, it seems like. And so it would be great to see the Hugo Awards get back on track. But just as John said, if you have a look at all the, current batch, and I wonder if this is both an effect from what the Hugo Awards are prioritizing, but also the publishing industry. The publishing industry has only been platforming and pushing for diverse authors and or books of a diverse nature that the traditional male audience are not interested in. And as a result, there's been this, concern that's been going around the world is like men aren't reading as much. Like if you have a look at who's purchasing, and consuming literature, men like just aren't reading. And then they try and say, well, that's why, so much of modern fantasy is female focused literature. It's like, hang on, no. You got the cart before the horse there. How about you reverse it? One of the main reasons why men aren't reading is because the mainstream publishing industry isn't making anything they want to read. And John, you got that viral tweet where you went to just the fantasy, aisle in your local bookstore, and it was just like one of the taglines or descriptions is called romantasy, which is female targeted fantasy. And apart from the classics, like you'll see Brandon Sanderson usually and regularly in fantasy bookshelves, but no one really knew that's kind of targeted or made for male readers and stuff like that. And it's just getting worse and worse. And then it goes to the extreme. So for people to stand out, because that's what the mainstream industry seems to be focusing on, female fantasy, then you have books like Morning Glory Milking Farm, which is about isn't a university student pleasuring minotaurs, right? No, and that was like unironic. And that was the most extreme example. And by the way, not only that, it's basically female targeted, made focused pornography, literary pornography. But John, you found one that now takes all of the problems that we've been talking about to a whole new level, which is this thing.
I sure did. This particular author bragged that this book has a magic system that works through abortion. And I've been arguing.
Can you just repeat that and emphasize it? Like, this is no joke, apparently. What is
that? An abortion-based magic system. Now, I had a couple. She caught on to the fact that I'd shared this, and she retweeted it and is going back and forth. Some of her people that defended this in the comments are trying to claim that it's the antagonist that does this. Well, why would that be your selling point? Why would you be putting this up there as a selling point? The comments underneath the original tweet are sickening because they are gleeful at this. This is abortion is the gospel for feminists.
It seems they love it. They love it.
I don't know if there's so much. It's not just they love it. It's to them. It's their scripture. It is their gospel. It is to probably also a fetish for some of them. They cannot envision that there are people out there that look at this practice and are not disgusted and are disgusted by it. It disgusts me to my very core. I have a little attachment to this particular issue. When I was first homeschooled at about 12 years old, my mother used to work for a crisis pregnancy center. So during the day, sometimes I would have to go and I would have to sit in that clinic and, do my schoolwork, read other books and things like that. And I kind of got to see just how torn up some of these girls could be, when they realized they had a sudden pregnancy. And there was a lot of them that got ministered to into not having abortions. But there were also ones that came in who had abortions, and they needed the ministry because they felt so ashamed and guilty over it. And I've never been a fan of this. I have always been very pro-life. As a father, it's just abhorrent to me.
I mean, and what really hit it home for me, right, was when my wife was pregnant with our first child, and we went into that early ultrasound, and seeing that baby, even so small, so formed and so animated and moving around, and just thinking like, and when I see that, I'm seeing my child, right? And then
Yeah.
to think that people would murder that and kill it because it's an inconvenience. And when and what I'm seeing is a child, right? It's just, ever since, man, I've always disagreed with it, but since then, it truly sickens me. Like, and especially late stage abortion, when, oh my gosh,
it just horrific. It basically,
violent, like it's a fully formed baby, and they're like, oh, because it's not out of the womb, it's perfectly fine to murder it.
Yeah, and dedicating this to your mother, just pure wild sickness. It's just it's putrid, and like I say, yeah, I agree. I agree with the chat. It's human sacrifice.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You got the tweet right here. And the quote is like, oh, this is the villain's, magic system. Look, looking at this, she's saying this is a selling point. Just to note that this book, dedicated to my mother, has an abortion-based magic system. She's saying that as a type of promotion for the book. What the hell? Like, honestly, I can't believe this. Oh my gosh.
To quote my own response to this, after careful consideration, I've decided to become even more extreme in my religious beliefs. And listen, lest we think this is some new phenomenon, there has been putrid and despicable forms of literature that have popped up. The academia loves stuff that they claim, quote, challenges like status quos, and really it's just an excuse to write the most fetish-riddled nonsense imaginable. If you have the stomach for it, go look up some novels that came out in the 70s, one that's titled Pig and one that's titled Those Who Walk Away from Omelas. And be ready when you read what these books are actually about. Some of them make Blood Meridian look like a trip through kindergarten.
Gosh. Man, the current state of fantasy, like, it's stuff like this that makes me intrigued what my next novel release is going to be like, because my next novel release is just full-on fantasy, medieval fantasy with, a young male protagonist that is just trying to be a knight and becomes a hero, and it's got all the classic tropes, right? And it's all the classic stuff you love in medieval fantasy in a new package, right? In a new story, it done in new, interesting ways. And I'm really interested to see what people think of it and the interest in it, because the narrative is that's no one likes that anymore. We need something new, fresh. We need to change it up. We need like weird new fantasy, tiefling, half demon, succubus, whatever nonsense. And especially like, I'm interested to see how many women will be, I think, about the book, because for me, I love classic fantasy as much as I always have. It hasn't gone stale. And I love classic stories as much as I've ever had. And I feel like just as many men would be interested in reading if you give them something that they want to read. Right? Oh my gosh.
And it's not that male readers stopped reading as much. It's that they went where their literary desires went. Hey, you like dragons? You like Dragonlance? Let me show you this. I got this early sometime last year.
Dragonlance, hell yeah, man!
The original trilogy omnibus. They just released the I forgot what it was called. The prequels in an omnibus as well. I haven't read those. Dragonlance, guys. A lot of people start at Tolkien, right? And that's valid. That's wonderful. Love the professor. This was where I started.
Same, no joke. The first novel I ever read, Dragons of Autumn Twilight, the first in the Dragonlance series. And I thought I wasn't into reading up to that point. Turns out, no, all I needed was the right thing to read, something that interested me. And I was a young man at the time, an early teenager, and I consumed the entire book. First book I ever read. And it's because it was fantasy and all the things I loved. So yeah, Dragonlance, man, you're right. That was my entry.
I've got the first book autographed by Margaret Weiss somewhere. I was trying to find it, but I can't find it. But this omnibus, I had to have this just on principle alone, because this is where I started. And I remember hearing somebody say that Dragonlance was back in the day called the Star Wars of fantasy. And I think that's a very apt description. Granted, it does feel like at times, because this is what it was a D&D campaign that was novelized. and it was very good. It had great characters, and it's just that kind of epic fantasy quest that I love. It's the kind of thing that led to this. And the biggest and best compliment that I've ever gotten on my writing is that reading The Black Crown reminded people of reading Dragonlance.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And I hope yours is kind of in the same vein, Shad, because that is
okay. That's
my vibe.
I'll give you a small little description of my upcoming novel, right? And it's a new series in medieval fantasy, and it starts off kind of low fantasy, like more just, a medieval fiction. But as the story progresses, the characters start to uncover lost things about their past and the nature of magic, and it slowly becomes more fantasy as the book progresses. And the entire arc of this series is basically a journey with the main focus, of course, is the characters, right? But what's happening in the world is where it starts very medieval kind of fiction, right? And it ends up in a more D&D-esque classical fantasy world as the fantasy returns into the world, as they discover interesting things and also forgotten dangers and perils and all the fun classic stuff. With a primary focus on the journey of individual characters. And I'm excited for it. The first draft is finished. I just need to finish off the prologues now to it and get that editing. And the aim is to have it done, released by the end of the year or early next year, depending on how quick I can get it all wrapped up. Because we need good fiction. Men need good classic fantasy again. We're not seeing enough of it, man. Like,
this is why I love the Indies. The Indies is rife with people with this exact same attitude. Yeah. This was not playing this, I promise, I swear to God. Relentless Blaze by Russell Carroll. This is also inspired by Dragonlance, classic epic fantasy. I've not read this yet, but this kind of cover will sell me. Just telling me that it's D&D style fantasy will sell me on a book almost immediately. Because when I started reading books and I went up to the old Walden Books at the old mall, God, I'm old. And you would have shelves and shelves of books with great covers like this, like ours. And it was just evocative. It would draw you in. There's so many that were the covers just brought me in. Like I was a cover buy for so many books. 90% of my book buying habits were cover buys. I kid you not. And that's kind of the mentality that I have going into my own books as well. Shad, your cover sold me on your book. I'm like, that looks cool, and I want it.
Yeah.
Where's that book? Somewhere around here.
It'll be somewhere.
I got it.
Right.
I have no order in my life, I swear.
But while you're looking for it, John, you talk about the books you're interested in. All right. How about this? Have you considered this for a fantasy series? What about an abortion-based magic system? You reckon that'll attract young male readers? Men generally? Like, I don't think so.
I would rather hammer my balls flat with a wooden mallet.
Right. And I like genuinely, if this is attracting a certain female readership by this type of promotion, like abortion, yes, it's like, that is such a concern. That is a big concern. That's more of a concern than, pleasuring minotaurs, right?
She did follow up with, she did retweet my tweet calling this out and said that, there is monster sex in the book too, but not with a minotaur, with a lump of meat. Congratulations.
Oh, that's not
good for you, girl.
That's not a win, but she's certainly targeting an audience, right? Certainly targeting going for an audience, and that audience deserves to be shamed for what they are consuming, right? It's vile stuff. It is actually disgusting. But
I'm starting to think we didn't burn enough witches.
And on that note, all right, John. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Odyssey. The Odyssey. What a disaster the lead up to this film is turning out to be. There are like layers, and every single thing I have seen about the Odyssey. First initial, you hear about it's in production, you're like, Christopher Nolan, great director. Odyssey, or classic story. Okay, that sounds great. And then you learn more about it, and more gets released, and more gets, and every single thing it seems like that I've heard about the Odyssey so far makes me less interested or more concerned, to the point now I'm like, this film looks like it's going to be terrible. Like, it is not looking good. Now, it started with, like, you know, historical accuracy, things like this. Lit Dev, how are you, mate?
Hello, hello.
Hello, sir.
You've joined us right on the Odyssey topic. Good timing.
Perfect.
Because one of the first things we saw in the Odyssey, right, like in some of the early imagery, was stuff like this. And it's like, it's like,
that was certainly a decision.
That doesn't look like, historically accurate Greek armor.
It's like a sci-fi version or something like that.
Yeah, that was my thought. Like, this would look really cool if it was some kind of sci-fi armor, but it doesn't.
Greek.
It's not evocative of like of a historical epic of some sort.
No, and so, like, you might excuse it. What if this is like unique armor for a leader that isn't representative of the whole? And it is like, that is kind of true. But then we saw the other armor, which it wasn't looking that nice either. But
like, maybe this is Achilles' armor. Like, I know, like, he had, his armor came into play in his story. So maybe like his armor is very unique looking.
Yeah.
But we know that's not Achilles. I'm pretty sure.
well,
no, because that's not Ellen Page.
Yeah, it's just pretty sure it's not Achilles.
This was just one example amongst the many, because other things, started to be rumored about. And then one of the things that came up is the rumor of the casting. And it's like, Matt Damon, yeah, that's all right. But then who's the actress that's in Spider-Man films? And
Zendaya.
Zendaya was cast, and like, she's cast. It seems like she is appearing in a lot of, fantasy or sci-fi stuff, or series. Like, that doesn't thrill me.
Who's Pedro Pascal playing?
What?
Is Pedro Pascal? I mean, he has to be in this thing, right? He has to be in this thing. He's in everything.
I feel like he just probably wander on set and get a role in it at this point.
All right,
because then look, Zendaya being in it, because what? She didn't tear down the house enough in Dune.
Yeah, exactly right. So it didn't thrill me. But then it comes out that they've race swapped Helen of Troy with their casting, and that's the one where a lot of people were like, "Hey, what? What?" Like, Helen of Troy, classically Greek, described pretty clearly in the Odyssey, and this is pretty understood, like, of her general ethnic appearance, right? And race swapping a character like that is just perfectly in line with Hollywood, right? But no one really expected this from Christopher Nolan. And funnily enough, I think Elon Musk had one of the better kind of comments in regards to why that's an issue. Because it's like, and I've said, having, a black character where it, obviously makes sense. No one really has an issue with that, even when it's more justified in certain fantasy settings, right? Where it's like, Dungeons & Dragons film is an example I give often, where there was a black elf in D&D, the D&D film, Honor Amongst Thieves. I didn't see a single negative questioning comment on it, because D&D is like such a mix anyway that that's not an issue. But if you suddenly have black elves in Lord of the Rings, which is tied to British kind of heritage, and the description's very clear in Lord of the Rings, that's where people are like, hang on, something is not, making sense right there.
You weren't a fan of Don Lemonor? That was the best guy in the entire show.
And so Elon Musk has been talking about this, and is that like this comment? Honestly, solid. He says, I agree she's beautiful, but where is the line in casting? Is casting a black woman as a white character in foundational European literature really acceptable? If we could clearly reject, if we would clearly reject the reverse, like a white man playing Shaka Zulu.
Yeah, I'd see Ryan Gosling playing Shaka Zulu. That'd be pretty cool.
At this point, just to see how people would react, I would like to see it, but from the general standard, of course, no, you want, historical figures depicted accurately, but they would lose their mind. They would absolutely go ballistic, right? And because the double standard is so blatant and obvious, but they don't care. They don't care about European history. They want to change it. And then you have people like The View. The View. So she cites this book that has been just lambasted by historians as utter crap, basically.
Because Ebook Crusade, like, to repaint the entirety of human history, that everyone was just black. And somehow one day, white people just popped into existence. But until that day occurred, everyone was black, apparently.
Right.
From the Japanese to the Europeans, everyone was black.
They've unironically been doing that. Like in educational videos made by the BBC and other places like that, they show some of the earliest people on the British Isles, right? The foundational Anglo-Saxons and other things. And I forget if it was exactly Anglo-Saxons, but no, there's like inject, black people into the historical things. And it's like, that's not true at all. And then you have people like, she's like, from The View, she boldly says, so people that are saying Helen of Troy could not possibly be played by a black woman don't know history. And she says it so confidently, right? And cites this book. And again, this book is just being trashed by historians, how nonsense it is. But that's the kind of game that they play. They defend it. And if it was in the reverse, they would lose their mind if a white person was playing a black figure. And by the way, we have seen this. We have seen them lose their minds in the lead-up casting to the Lilo and Stitch live-action film. The actress playing the older sister, people lost their minds because she was just a few shades too white. She was still of the correct ethnic, heritage, but she still was that little bit too white compared to the animated, thing. That's what they...
I think we all know by now that when they say diversity, they just really mean anti-white. They just really want to get rid of white people. That's exactly blatantly true.
Exactly. And so that's just one example of the lack of care for history in what is looking to be the Odyssey. And then the trailer dropped. Have you guys seen the trailer where you see like near medieval equivalent plate armor in more like a fantasy setting kind of thing in that trailer? Oh my gosh.
It looked like first draft PS2 armor. I'm not gonna lie. Like it felt like a first draft kind of an armor. Like there was supposed to be more ornamentation on it at some point, but like it just looks so bland and unappealing. I should state for the record, I understand how important the Odyssey is as a story. I don't have a very strong connection to it. I did see Armand Asante was in the TNT version of the Odyssey way back in the day. I watched that and I loved it. I thought that was a great little cut of it. But everything that comes out about the Odyssey, from the casting to the creative choices to the designs to where they're drawing their inspiration from, just is a head scratcher to me. And I just don't see where this could be pulled together into a satisfying whole. Yes, look at that great PS2 Dark Souls armor.
But that looks like steel armor, plate armor, which would be, I don't know, around 2,000 years more advanced than what they should have. It's just like, what the hell? And I'm like trying to say, oh, it's a bit of fantasy, a bit of fiction. It's like what this is showing overall is the complete lack of respect to the historical period that this is being done in.
It would be kind of cool if it's not really the Odyssey. It's more about Odysseus versus some European knights or something like that. If there's some like time travel and stuff, that'd be kind of cool.
But on top of it, like just technologically being completely divorced from any form of historical accuracy, I just also think it looks crap. Like it's lame looking, like what you were saying, John, like PS2 or whatever type of graphic armor, something like that. It just looks awful. And by the way, that's the same with the armor of that Matt Damon is wearing, right? It looks dirty. It looks crappy. Like this stuff would have been polished bronze, looking shining and immaculate. Like they could have made it look so cool.
Oh, you're kind of right there. That armor looks like it hasn't loaded in yet. Like it's almost there.
Right?
Not quite.
It's missing its textures. It's like what's happening here, right? And then there was just dialogue choices with the trailer as well, where it felt like it was more, modernized language. It didn't feel authentic. And so there were questions about that. And the one that people have been really memeing on is the fact that Elliot Page, she appeared in the trailer with like mud over their face. And that led to a whole host of speculation as to who this person is cast as. And the overall kind of concern, and it kind of looks like it's going this way, is that Elliot Page might be playing Achilles. And it's just like, what is going on? And by the way, I think people would have just as much, I guess, objection to a biological man cast as Achilles that looked as skinny and weak and emaciated as Elliot Page does. I think it's very much like, not just that this is, a trans person and it doesn't fit the character, right? But that they don't look anything like the character. Like Achilles is supposed to be there is Chad. And everyone's like, Elliot Page as Achilles? What is going on?
Shouldn't you get like a man to play Achilles? I thought Achilles was a man.
Well, there's that. Guys, have you seen this? Hang on, I might need to make sure. This one I would I need sound for this because this is. Have you seen this? Someone is.
I've seen it.
Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
AI to put Elliot Page instead of.
Does it also have the Michael Bay ending too? I think some of those.
Yes, it does.
What a Chad that guy is.
We might get pinged for copyright, so I'll go slowly. By the way, Troy, great film. And I'm not like, I know there's issues with historical accuracy, but now compared to what it looks like we're getting in the Odyssey, I'm like...
Yeah, I really liked it. But I think Brad Pitt played a pretty good Achilles.
Oh, great.
Have you seen, there were some people on Twitter trying to pass off a bit of revisionist history that Troy was considered a bad movie when it came out during the day. I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember that either. But people are saying it wasn't nearly as popular because it came out in like, well,
it had some competition.
Yeah. But this is hilarious. This is... I wonder if we'll get
there it is. There's a Michael Bay. There's a Michael Bay ending.
That meme never gets old for me.
I think if anything, if they had to have Elliot Page in there, it should have been played Tiresias. Because Tiresias, I think, was the blind prophet that they meet in the underworld who changed from male to female.
But I think there is a shot of that character in the trailer, and they have like a blindfold over their eyes, and so that kind of made
perfect for a trans actor to play. Was Tiresias.
But then, now the current theory is that it's not that character because it feels like we've seen someone else in that role in the trailer, and so at the moment there's nothing said. It looks like Elliot Page might be playing Achilles. It's not officially confirmed to my knowledge, but people are memeing on it to hell. And also wondering why, because like I said, everything I'm seeing about this film is making it look terrible, right? It's not looking good. Christopher Nolan has a great track record. It's not to say he can't, make a stinker. And I'm not saying I don't think this film will do well at the box office. I think it probably will do very well. But my concern is that I think it's just going to suck. I think the movie's going to be crap because these are all red flags. Now, sometimes those red flags were false flags. We've seen that, like the D&D film, where there was a couple of red flags with the lead up where they're saying they loved emasculating the main lead character. And that wasn't the case in the film when it came out. but this is turning a lot of people off, souring them on their interest in it, and they're speculating. And I saw even your tweet there, LitDev, where you were like, why are they doing this? And so here's your tweet. You know, an artist going woke like this, like a slug smugly eating salt to own the chuds.
That's exactly what it is. I've seen ever since like the Trump took office or ran for president, I've seen a lot of like people who are really talented and really good writers, really funny comedians, what have you, just lose their minds over Trump, where they kind of toss away all their talent. And so yeah, it is. I've seen so many artists just try to own the chuds and then just destroy their entire careers and image to do so.
Let them do it. Like, let it burn at this point. Because look, I don't have a huge investment in the success of this film. If he wants to ruin it, let him, and he'll get what he deserves with the results. You know, one of the things that kind of pissed me off even like the most. So this is like an interesting background, and the fact that, you know, yeah, they're not casting you know, a white actress to play Helen of Troy, and showing that there isn't really a care for historical accuracy. Well, then a new bit of information came out that Nolan had even hired a rapper to contribute part of the music, and people were like, that seems a little odd. Like, it doesn't feel like that fits. And the report is that his response to this is that reporting for Geeks, Christopher Nolan says the Odyssey can't have an orchestra because they didn't exist in ancient Greece. Now, the official quote, I think, is this one here. It's not like orchestras existed back then. And
rap didn't exist then either.
But they had poetry, and rap's kind of like poetry. That's no joke, that logic. And when I heard that, I'm like, this sounds like it's an appeal to historical accuracy to make the film feel more authentic.
Well, it's same thing with Mulan. It's like,
I'm like, what?
They kind of did the same thing with Mulan. Like, okay, we're not going to have Mushu, we're not going to have the songs, or the cricket, or anything like that, because we're going to try to go for a more realistic, you know, depiction of the time. And then they add in chi and witches and like wire fu.
So this was the Geeks and Gamers report here, where it's not like orchestras existed back then, and that actually quite annoyed me, because at first I was thinking he is not caring about historical accuracy at all, and then that comment feels like an appeal to historical accuracy, right? And I'm like, what? Don't tell me you care about history when you got this piece of crap staring us in the face. When you've got, you know, a race swapped Helen of Troy. It's like, no. What it is clearly at this point, Nolan does not give a crap about historical accuracy. He's just doing whatever he thinks is cool. And when I hear a comment like, oh, yeah, it's okay to not have an orchestra or something like that because they didn't exist, that is just a pathetic kind of comment to try and justify something that he doesn't really have a valid reason for, apart from he thinks that it's cool and he wants to do it at this point. And it's really just souring me on this whole project, and it's getting memed to hell as well.
It just doesn't look like anything you would expect the Odyssey to look like. And maybe he can pull something together into at least an entertaining film. I'm kind of hoping it's one of those so bad it's good kind of films. Because look, even his worst Batman film still had a lot of very entertaining moments. And gosh, we're still memeing the hell out of it all these years later.
I would almost be concerned if this film is really good with all the cultural vandalism that is in this property already, because it would almost feel like that's validating, justifying, and showing that you can get away with it, right? And it is cultural vandalism at this point. And like, oddly enough, Matt Walsh had a good.
Do you see the Greeks? Elon Musk retweeted the Greek Times or something like that, complaining about how could you have diversity in the Odyssey movie without any Greeks in it? Like, what the hell? I kept thinking, like, if they could do the same thing, we're gonna have like a Netflix Cleopatra situation where they made a black Cleopatra and Egypt sued them. Like, is Greece gonna sue Hollywood
I don't know
over this movie?
But this is what Matt Walsh says, and honestly, he's spot on. We're told that we shouldn't object to Helen of Troy being portrayed as a black woman, and yet if a major Hollywood studio made a film set in Africa and cast a white woman as the most beautiful woman in Africa, those same people would literally riot in the streets. If, say, Sydney Sweeney was cast in the role, they'd be driven to murderous violence. We all know this is the case, and this is the same sentiment that Eli, like, there is such a blatant double standard, and at this point, the absolute disrespect is to specifically whatever they define as white cultural history, right, is disgusting at this point. And it does reach a point of cultural vandalism. And Nolan is just feeding right into it with what he's doing with the Odyssey, where and then if it's a success, it's just going to perpetuate more of the same.
It's cultural colonialism. I think they looked at what colonialism was and said, let's do it to Western culture at all aspects, both in land and in culture and entertainment itself. And that's kind of concerning. I think they haven't come out and like admitted it, but it sure is what it feels like.
Yeah.
In my last video, I mentioned the term the indigenous fans to like kind of hint that they're colonizing the fandoms with their nonsense. People like that term. I don't like me using the term the indigenous fans.
I'm gonna have to borrow that from you.
All right. There is another film that I actually am quite interested in and is looking like it's gonna be a banger, right? Highlander. Do you guys know about this Highlander remake?
Oh yeah, is that the one with Chad Zielinski?
With Henry Cavill?
I think so, because I do know Chad Zielinski was making, or the John Wick guys were making a Highlander show or movie or something.
And we've got images. And look at this. Like, it's incredible how a single leak already looks better than the trailer of the Odyssey.
It does.
100%.
Henry Cavill is he doesn't lay down for anybody. He lays down the law for whatever he's in. Like, you're going to do it right. You're going to do it accurately. We're going to get this correct, not because he's like anti-woke or anything, because he's pro art.
Yes, that's a great way to put it, Lit Dev.
He certainly seems to get it.
Yeah. Now, do you guys know much about the Highlander series? Like,
I watched the first one.
I love the hell out of the TV show. I'm not gonna lie. The original movie was okay. And Highlander 2 stood for a very long time as like one of the worst sequels ever created. We didn't know how bad Hollywood would get.
Highlander 2, man.
I like Mr. Krabs being the bad guy. I like Sean Connery playing a Spaniard. Pretty good stuff.
It's timeless. It's a great 80s flick, and it was a pretty good TV show. I watched a lot of that.
Content warning, if anyone wants to go watch the classic Highlander, if you're a more conservative Christian, there is a pretty explicit sex scene in it. Outside of that, the concept of Highlander is actually super cool. And what it is, that there are just immortals arise in the world that, and you don't know if you're an immortal until you actually die. And so the actual law, right, behind it is if you could have been an immortal, but if you die of natural causes, you're kind of dead. But if you actually die through injury, pain, or something like that, or murder, or anything like that, that unlocks the immortal power, and then you are immortal. And the only way to die from there on out is with decapitation. You will live forever. You'll never die. You can't have children, but decapitation will kill you. And if an immortal decapitates another immortal, they get their power. Though it's never really defined what that power is. But if you're a regular person and decapitates an immortal, you get their power and become an immortal. And one of the best ways and convenient ways to try and take off someone's head, right, are with swords. And so these immortals become master swordsmen. And then you have like unhinged immortals that just are on a hunting spree to try and kill all the other immortals and become the one, right? And the great and everything. And so that concept alone is such a wicked cool concept, where it's just like these immortal master swordsmen, right, that have to have these one-on-one epic duels to the death to, gain the other person's power, right? And so the concept is awesome. And the first film, like, it's a bit dated now, but apart from the content warning, it's actually a banger, right? And everything. Then you do get to Highlander number 2.
Turns out they were aliens the whole time.
They were just aliens. Like, they went this weird sci-fi route completely, and it's one of the worst films ever made. It's like, what were they thinking? Right?
Shad, listen,
bonkers.
I know Highlander 2 is hilariously bad. If you want genuinely knee-slapping hilariously bad, the last canonical Highlander film was Highlander the Source, which was meant to be a cap-off of the TV show, so it starred Duncan MacLeod. Spoonie reviewed it way back in the day, if y'all guys remember Spoonie, and it is mind-blowingly bad. And I got to recommend a view of it. Just go in knowing how bad it's going to be. You can tell somebody watched Batman Begins right before they started filming this. Oh God.
So
I'm having flashbacks when I watched it.
Are you talking about the Highlander TV show?
Yeah, there was a made for a straight to DVD movie called Highlander the Source. And it was the end of Duncan MacLeod's story.
Okay, because the Highlander kind of series or franchise, right? You had the films, and then there was a Highlander TV show where they brought in Connor MacLeod. So Connor MacLeod is the original character in the first Highlander film, and he meets up with Duncan MacLeod, who is the protagonist of the TV series, and he helps. He's in the first few episodes of that old school Highlander TV show, and the TV show very like early 90s kind of. Very standard, just straight to TV. I don't think it's actually anything that special. But Duncan MacLeod is the main kind of immortal, going on the fights and, semi-hero character. But then they had a film based after that TV series, which is like a crossover between the TV series and the film series, where Connor MacLeod actually does die. And I wonder if that's the film you're talking about.
No. This is way different. I'll send you a link later. But
Yeah,
you're thinking of Highlander Endgame.
Yes,
that one was not too bad. That did have Duncan and Connor MacLeod in it.
It has some of the worst sword fights in it, though, man. Like I've reacted to one of the because I do. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, you haven't seen The Source. The Source is so much worse because it dropped in like the mid 2000s out of nowhere. And nobody saw it, and those who did, it's a laughing stock for real. So I'm kind of curious though about where this movie will end up leading to, because whatever you can think of, poor Henry Cavill has had he's had bad luck because he's been a good actor in good roles that ended up being kind of crap films. Okay, and yes, I'm throwing the Superman movies in there. I am not very enamored with the DCU movies he was in. He was a good Superman, but he had bad movies. I'm sorry. Sorry. But and especially with The Witcher, where they basically kind of forced him out and he was sick to death of what they were doing. So I'm kind of hoping he's maybe in a position in Hollywood where he can call enough of the shots to not screw this up. That's my hope.
I hope it's going to be good. Like, the initial concept behind Highlander is so awesome that if done right, it can be great. And it feels like there hasn't been anything nearly as good as the original film with Sean Connery in it. But the Henry Cavill reboot for Highlander are like great casting. Henry Cavill is awesome. The concept is solid. The initial some of these initial set photos look great. And obviously this is him in the past. But then there are shots of him in the future, or in the modern day, I should say. And
what's a good sign there? They're all Scotsmen, and they're all white. They're all white. There's not a black Scotsman in there, so they're doing it accurately this time.
Maybe
that's a good sign.
It is yes, yeah. And like I said, Henry Cavill's pretty awesome as well. Here are some shots of him in the modern day. It looks like here, and these are just kind of either set photos. I'm not sure if all of them are accurate. But okay, you got something to work with, and I'm more excited for that than the Odyssey.
Well, Henry Cavill's a big selling point, I think. But the chats. I'm with the chat. Okay, are we bringing back the Queen soundtrack? Because
I am an immortal.
I hope
have
so.
inside me the blood of kings.
What was the,
Yeah,
what was
that's
it,
great.
I think the Odyssey is made for showing off. I think they're just making the Odyssey to show off and to kind of like, peacock for Hollywood, his Hollywood friends. Well, the Highlander seems to be made for the sake of art and entertainment.
just make a good film for fans, and it could be just a great, lighthearted action flick. That would be brilliant. That would be really, really cool. I'm hoping it's good. Henry Cavill needs a win, and this might be the thing. Might be the thing. So, wishing him all the best. I'm excited for it and looking forward to it. All right, gentlemen. New topic, shifting gears.
All right,
But,
1 second. I did confirm it. This is the Highlander movie that is going to be directed by Chad Stilinski, who did the John Wick movies.
Ooh, okay. Now, John Wick. Complicated, a bit of a complicated topic because first film I loved. First film I loved. The other ones. The
first one I loved. The second one I loved. The third one I loved. The fourth one.
Let's have big thumbs up. I'm more like on the other ones, but I love the first one.
I like them, but like as the series went on, the whole concept of their whole world of assassins started to get a lot less believable. Like half of New York, when they were hunting John Wick at the end of the second movie and in the third movie, like half of New York was secretly assassins. I'm like, do we really need that many assassins? My gosh,
that's what I like about it. It was awesome. I don't go for John Wick for realism. I go for crazy shenanigans. I love it. I
wanted just one shot of an assassin who like looks at their phone and they sees John Wick and whatever his bounty was, and they look up and they see John Wick there, and they decide, no.
I think it's what happened with most of them, because if you look at the third and fourth one, he's mostly being attacked by like working class Joes and not like top tier assassins. He's just being like the guys who just want to get rich quick and I can kill John Wick. But what happened to John Wick was Atomic Blonde, actually. So they had success with John Wick 1, massive success, and then they got their company got recognized, and they got offered to do Atomic Blonde. And so there was two guys on staff. There's Chad Stilinski and another guy for John Wick 1. And I think it was John Wick 2 also or something like that. And then there's Atomic Blonde came in and they split. And Chad Stilinski, what? You want to leave? We got this thing going. You want to leave now? So essentially, they describe it as mom and dad. Like all the actors and stuntmen and the company were kind of like kids with the parents going through a horrible divorce, but still all live in the same house. That's what they've kind of that's what it felt like, because Chad Stilinski gets really intense when he's on the job. And so you can tell that John Wick 1, John Wick 2 kind of feel around the same. And then John Wick 3 kind of jumps the shark quite a bit. That's when Chad Stilinski took over completely, and the other guy is no longer in the picture because he went off and did Atomic Blonde. That's what happened. And that made the split.
Was Atomic Blonde any good? I remember seeing it. I didn't watch it.
I liked it a lot. I liked Atomic Blonde. I thought it was pretty cool. Not as cool as John Wick, but I like the fight scenes and everything. She actually fights like a woman, where like she's not tearing through guys. There's like 5 guys that she fights and gets just demolished in every single fight. She wins them, but she's just bruised up and cut up and everything, and then she still fails her mission.
Awesome. Okay, hey, I have an update. All right, gentlemen. You remember how I talked and we laughed about a certain anime a couple of weeks back, where it was like one of the most blatant fan service things I've ever seen?
Darling in the Franxx, yes.
Darling in the Franxx, where it's unironically, you pilot the giant mechas by joysticks controls attached to a female's butt. And that was like, what the hell? And like I said, I went into it knowing nothing. Right, I had no idea that this was coming, and when it came on screen, I actually laughed my head off. I couldn't. It was just one of the most blatant fan service things I've ever seen. Right, but at the same time, there was weird things that was oddly intriguing about the overall anime. In regards to, all right, they clearly got Neon Genesis Evangelion kind of inspiration from it. There's a lot of mystery behind what are these aliens, and it's the mystery that kind of I wanted to know what was going on, and the fact that it played the fan service so straight, right? Just like, and it was like, this is like borderline fan service for me, but things can sometimes get me past it if the story is intriguing, and this story was intriguing. And oddly enough, the fan service reduces and then basically becomes non-existent from halfway on through the series, and then it's all focusing on the story and plot and characters at that point. And so I finished it. I've actually finished Darling in the Franxx, and like the show is out of like unexpectedly mega based. I'm not kidding. Where it's like the whole message behind this anime is that men and women should get married and have children, and that's the true path to happiness. And
yeah, how can a show about a man piloting a woman's butt cheeks not be based?
Well,
I'm sold.
Like, and then it turns out that there is speculation that this anime is kind of perhaps maybe even a psyop from the government made to try and get Japanese people to get married and have children, right? And the fan service is in there to try and encourage young men to be attracted to women and wants to, like, you know, have relationships with them. And then it has this plot, you know, the fan service is there to try and bait young men in, but then the story is about the wholesome, you know, happiness that can come from getting married and having children. And so it's like trying to get that message through. And I'm kind of wondering if that's the case, because Litdev, wasn't there that speculation around Spy Family?
Spy X Family. Yeah, Spy X Family. Yeah.
Which is a great anime. I love it. And it has such a wholesome message about how wonderful family life is, you know, and wrapped up in this quirky, fun anime backdrop. And so I'm almost like, all right, maybe this is the case. Maybe Japan are funding some of these animes, but I agree with the message. And so I'm like, go to town, all power to you. And so let me explain some of the stuff about Darling in the Franxx and how it's unexpectedly super based behind all the fans. And again, I really think the fan service is just kind of vapid stuff that they put into bait people, because it disappears. It actually near all but disappears throughout the anime, and it's only front loaded so heavily. And so
all but disappears, huh?
Well, the butt piloting is there still, but the suggestive camera angles to highlight it, they disappear as well. Like, and it's all about the plot. And the plot is actually kind of it's a really intriguing, fun sci-fi plot where humanity is basically in a post-human state, where there is this push in the government for humans to move beyond their physical bodies. And so a lot of humanity actually exists in this state of agelessness. They don't age, but a lot of them are just in those dopamine pods, where they're just in these pods and they get dopamine pleasure injected in. And it's like that dystopian kind of future. And that's the state of humanity. But to try and build, again, state of humanity, aliens seem to appear out of nowhere, trying to wipe humans out and have to make these giant mecha robots, very Neon Genesis Evangelion-esque, right, to try and fight them. And the background and origin of how they make these giant robots is tied in with, you know, the origin of the aliens and other things like that. I'll try and avoid the biggest spoilers, but there are some small things to try and explain the plot, because they don't justify this reason that to pilot these robots, they need a male and female pair together that have some type of connection. And that's the only way. They don't explain that well enough, but that's one of the premises they use. And there's a new group of pilots, which are the main characters you see here, and they are being raised like children in this universe are basically test tube, you know, raised things, and they're raised in this like horrifying kind of enclave without parents, right? And so it's this very dystopian thing, but there is this group of students that they're made into a test group where they're raised in a more traditional way to see if that will enhance their combative performance in the robots. And it turns out it does, that the bonds that they make between themselves, being raised in a more traditional, wholesome environment, actually make them better pilots, and they can bond or connect with the robots better. And as a result of being raised in this more traditional environment, they start to develop relationships with each other. And then, and they don't know anything about traditional life. They don't know about natural biological reproduction. They don't even know what kissing is. Like, that's completely absent. And so as a result, that's why the anime kind of plays these suggestive positions straight, because they don't know about sexuality at all. But they're young adults, right? And they start to develop relationships, and they start to learn about the ancient ways of the old people and stuff. And one of the characters discovers that you can actually create other people, that they discover the nature of biological reproduction. And one of the females, it thinks that this is the most miraculous thing ever. And this is actually true. Like the miracle of life is miraculous. And she thinks this is unbelievably incredible, that she has the power to create another human. And she wants to leave something in the world. And there's this horrible dystopia. Everything's being destroyed. And she thinks, like, what a miraculous thing that she could help humanity survive and leave something behind amidst this, hellscape. And so she ends up getting married and stuff. And then this is where a big...
No wonder all the wokies hate anime.
Right, no wonder the woke people hate anime, right? Because it has this, not only like this pretty like based message, right? But then the overall kind of plot of the series ends up that these characters end up fighting for subverting or against the government that is post-human, right? To bring back normal human wholesome relationships, because that is the true path to happiness, effectively. And it also is one of the things that enables them to defeat the robots. There is this big debate about the final conclusion of the anime. And I thought, like, because I don't know the manga or anything like that, I didn't have any expectations, and people were saying it's awful. I had no expectations, and I thought the ending was, it was fine, I guess. People wanted a more happy ending, but they kind of got it in the end. And the overall message ends up being mega based. It's just like anime, man. It's like I was not expecting this. I was not expecting the anime to go so like, promotion of traditional values like it did. But here we are. And so, well, there you go. There you go, darling in the Franks. I was not expecting.
I apologize, darling in the Franks. I did not recognize your game. I'm not familiar with it.
The female butt-controlled mecha anime ends up being very wholesome.
Really based.
And really based. It's like, all right then. There we go. There we go. So, I mean, do I recommend it? Kind of now, with the content warning for the blatant fan service, but then the fan service disappears and it has, this.
I mean, that sounds at least like they tried to sneak the message in there while putting the entertaining stuff on top, which is, if you're gonna put political messaging in your entertainment, at least be entertaining first. It's what a lot of the wokies have not figured out. But because they think the message is the point of whatever they're doing.
It's integrated so much better into this setting than what a lot of woke ideologues try and do, because it is sci-fi in this post-human society where it actually, those are legitimate kind of interesting questions about, if humanity could achieve immortality but lose their ability to reproduce, right? Because that's the trade-off that you eventually discover, right? If you become immortal through this new technology, you can't have children anymore. And so they have to like have new children in labs and stuff. And is that a trade worth having? And the kind of message of the anime is like, no, it's not. And so, but that ties itself so well into a sci-fi setting with super advanced technology, where so much of modern technology is starting to replace manual things, manual labor and stuff. And those are the questions that sci-fi has been playing with for ages. And so this anime latches onto that and actually gives its own kind of answer, which is one that falls into more traditional values. And it is far more naturally integrated into the overall story than a lot of other things. There are parts that aren't done well in this anime. They do not justify the piloting cockpit system well, that's just like pure fan service. And they don't even really justify properly why it needs a male and female pair. Could have done that better.
It sounds a little like the premise of Pacific Rim, just with extra steps and a little more fan service.
Because Pacific Rim didn't even do it that well either, where they needed 2 pilots in this flow state to control a giant robot. It's like, it's not really doing it, is it? Evangelion did it a bit better, right? But it wasn't a pair system. They just needed to be young adults, teenagers, because of some state of their mind where that will be, that they could then connect to the robots on this mental thing, which is like, all right, there's a bit more, I guess, world building logic to that than other anime or other properties. But there we go. Anime is anime. That's kind of what I can take away from that with that one. But interesting though, that does kind of bookend or connect to one of the other topics about the future and AI, and is it dystopian? Is it going to be dystopian future or not? And there are a couple more recent topics that brings this conversation back. So let's talk just briefly on some of these headlines that have crossed my feed in regards to AI. Now, with AI, right? This could benefit humanity so incredibly well or lead to our destruction. I think it's like those two extremes. And it's really going to depend on how we choose to implement it. And there are great ways to implement and use AI in a collaborative way as a useful tool to complement human skill and ability. And I've been celebrating that for years now. And I've received unbelievable amounts of hate for it, and also been misrepresented grossly for my stances and views on AI, where I think AI generative tools, they can be really, really fun, used in a collaborative way. And artists, if they embrace it, they could ensure, their careers and being employed in the future, because so many people are now using it. And so that's been one of my messages. And I've never been saying that false things that people say that I'm 100% an AI shield. Though there are concerning things about AI that I have voiced a lot. AI girlfriends, I think, is a very big concerning thing. And I've also warned that a lot of false crap is going to be flooding people's feeds, and you need to be very aware. I'm like at a point now where I need to assume nearly every single thing I see online is fake and AI before confirming.
A good method, yeah.
It's a good method, like, because it is getting so good.
A good example of this, Shad, is over the weekend, if you saw the news story of the 2 fighter jets that crashed at an air show in midair together. When I first saw that, everyone was calling it AI at first. And for a second, it did kind of look like that until I started to realize it was reported by so many outlets that, well, no, if it had been AI, it would have gotten caught at some point, and they would have not propagated it as much. By the time I saw like 15 different places putting it out there and nobody else calling it AI, I realized, okay, this is actually real. But I mean, it did look. You've had overseas outlets that have been fooled by Arma 3 footage, which to me is hilarious, because it goes to show some boomers are so old that like they can't tell, generation old video game footage is not actual footage from the Middle East.
Yeah, I think the boomers are most at risk here.
Yeah, they have no defense systems against AI that looks realistic enough.
It seems like that, and I don't know, because some look are so obviously fake. You wonder how the heck could that fool anyone, and it does fool people. But then you have ones that if you did not know, like, it would fool most people. And this crossed my feed, and so this is one of the other concerns that people are raising about AI video is just complete fake advertising. So have a look at this. If you did not know, you might be completely fooled by videos like this. So this is an advertisement for rust removal spray. And so the premise of it is like, all right, they're comparing it. Who can remove the rust quicker? And so on a just a brief glance, you're like, wow, look at that. Look at that. And even watching it now, this is actually looking very realistic. There is a giveaway in this one but you have to be paying very close attention to notice it. And it's how he pulls out the spray. It basically appears from his pocket, or it's just like there. But this is actually a rust removal, like false advertisement, effectively, where they're like, look at how incredible this works. And then this one, like this one is actually kind of freaky, how real that looks.
Yeah, that's borderline. Yeah, that is borderline false advertising. As someone who has worked with Rust a lot, rusty stuff, yeah, that's not realistic in the slightest. I have noticed a lot more AI being popped up in like small ads here and there, either a voice or people, and
that's fine if they're like, if you
if they're just telling you what it is, that's one thing. But like you said, this is that does border on false advertising.
Imagine how many people this could fool, right? Because this looks real. Like this one is really hard to tell that it's AI, especially because the geometry of the component here is so solid. Like AI has usually struggled with firm geometry like this, but it's like, damn, that looks really, really good. Oh,
but to be fair, Shad, commercials have been lying like this for a long time without AI.
That is a good point. Like, dishonesty in media advertisement is not inherently a problem with AI. It's a problem with dishonest people, and AI is just another tool they can use to lie to people.
How they prepare food for food commercials.
Yeah. I mean,
there's all kinds of crazy stuff for it.
Think about eBay and what's that other one? I forget, but false out where they have an image and it's usually like a handmade, and I see this a lot in medieval clothing and armor. Well, they have an image of like a handmade piece of armor saying this is what we're selling, and they're actually flogging off cheap garbage as a result. So false advertising, you're right. This is not anything new necessarily. And so stuff like this, right? The bad uses of AI really affect and create a negative bias against anyone using AI tools, using it in good ways to the point where people just hate AI if it's AI with such a bias that it even affects their judgment. And so this guy on Twitter did something really interesting. He posted a real Monet painting online and said it was AI, okay, to see what people said about it. And what do you think people said about this? So this is a real human-made art piece of work, right? And then he said it's AI. And what do you think people said about it? What, guys? Can you guess?
Either they hated it.
They hated it.
All you gotta do is say it's AI and like, oh, this is slop. This is gross.
And exactly. Exactly. So everyone took a massive dump. And so the initial tweet, it's very small writing here, says, I just generated an image in the style of a Monet painting using AI. Please describe in as much detail as possible what makes this inferior to a real Monet painting. And so everyone is like, the comments is, the colors are more pleasing to the eye in a reel, they're saying. And look at this one. Looks like high school level art 101 work, but not even. No cohesion of elements. It's like
suddenly everyone's an artist.
Suddenly everyone's an expert, right? And everything about it is crap, even though it's not even AI. This is a real painting, okay? And so people's bias against AI is unbalanced and extreme, okay? Where if it's just said AI, look at this one. It's a mess. The original caption, specifically the reflections in the way that's realistic, right? Feels too flat and soft and blended. And so all these comments of people like, these are the problems. The depth, the contrast, the cohesion are the most obvious. And so everyone's like this expert saying all the problems with this real painting, and it's not AI. And gotcha. Like as Nathan goes, this is why I call out these AI haters. Yeah, the bias and double standards are just blatant and unrealistic at this point, and extreme. In the extreme, people are like overboard. And so this was a comment on this, let's call it a social experiment. I love how the comments have now shifted to assertions that the Monet is overrated. So now when it came out, this was like a real painting to try and, cope that they're not like just AI biased haters, right? Then they started to crap on Monet overall. Now Monet just sucks, right? And so they say Monet is overrated. It couldn't possibly be that you can't always tell the difference between AI generated and the real deal, like you constantly claim. Hate AI all you want, but you need better arguments against it. Then I can always spot AI slop. Yeah. That is very, very true. And so it is difficult to find like an honest, balanced kind of view on AI at this point. But oddly enough, you know what that did like come across my feed? Like that was an actual balanced take. It was from Peter Jackson. This is what he said about AI recently, or maybe not recently actually, but this came across my feed recently.
Well, I mean, I don't. Well, I mean, just not talking about AI in general, like the thing that's going to destroy the world and that kind of thing. But
so it's funny, right? Even his like preface there is like he was about to say, "I don't hate AI." That's what it feels like, but then he had to quickly pause and say, "I need to be more specific," because that's kind of like what I have to do, where I'm like, there are legitimate concerns with AI. I think AI could lead to the apocalypse if we employ it in incorrect, wrong ways, right? But there are absolutely useful ways to use it. And so it's funny that he even has to do that same.
To talk about AI use in film, I mean, I don't just like it at all. I mean, to me, it's just a special effect.
It's just a special effect, right? It's like it's another tool. I'm like, look at that, a reasonable kind of just simple take. And like, it's a tool that you could use to make some.
You're not really going to be able to get away from AI. Even anime studios are like anime studios came out and said, we're all using AI. And I think I even got an update for Premiere Pro, and they have integrated AI just in everything. Like they'll use AI to enhance things automatically.
Or just you can use AI in Premiere now to extend a clip. Now, I've done like editing for over 10 years now. And sometimes you have a clip that if you were trying to match it to a soundtrack and stuff like that, oftentimes the footage doesn't fit up and I have to like maybe cut the soundtrack at an awkward spot or do it. And sometimes I've even had to slow down the speed to make the clip match the audio. Now, no joke, you can just AI generate an extension of the clip. So, and usually it might just be a pose, an end thing or anything like that. And so it's not hard. It's just like real minor motion, but you can AI generate an end, addition to a clip in Premiere Pro. And that's friggin' brilliant. What a useful tool.
I think I know exactly how AI is going to be implemented in the future. They're going to take the next Game of Thrones series. They're going to put the whole season up against AI and they're going to say, remove any coffee cups or water bottles that you find.
Yes.
In the series.
Not only that, you can remake the last season to your Vikings and fix it, which I'm like, brilliant. And you know what you'll also do? People are going to go crazy. They're going to lose their minds about this. What do you think people are going to do to the recent casting of Snape and Harry Potter with AI? They are totally going to replace them with the other actor. And AI not only could do
Keanu Reeves or something.
they could make anyone, but I was thinking who played Snape originally. Great actor,
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman, yeah, I was thinking that they'll replace it with Alan Rickman Snape. And not only will AI be able
this is really bad news for Zendaya and Pedro Pascal, because we're going to replace them in everything they're in.
All the crap Hollywood is doing to subvert, and we talked about like it in this live stream previously, to subvert like, European history and removing white people from their own history. They literally cast Anne Boleyn as a black woman. AI is going to be the thing to undo it. Like people will be able to fix it and put back and make it accurate to what it used to be. And if you don't think people don't know, they kind of already are. The technology is already there. Now it's just a matter of larger scale rolling out. And if Hollywood was smart, they're not smart. So I don't know if they'll actually figure this out. If they figured out a way to monetize it. So Odyssey, right? It's on a streaming service. If they were smart and they wanted to actually figure out how to utilize this technology on any streaming service, if there was an an option to alter anything in that film that you're about to watch and stream online, right? The way you want. Change the actor's appearance to my appearance, or change, and they could figure it out and make it so they could give royalties even to actors' likenesses if there are, like, imagine, like, you know, the Alan Rickman estate when Harry Potter comes out and there was an AI tool to replace, you know, the casting to whoever you want, right? And then Alan Rickman's estate could actually get continued royalties because, you know, that you put them in the film. And that would actually encourage more people to watch this stuff. A lot of people are turned off by Harry Potter and the casting. And so if there was an integrated AI tool on the streaming service to change it to your likings, even tweaking, right? That would actually encourage more people to watch. That could be a really beneficial tool. And that type of stuff, I'm genuinely excited for. I think is awesome. Like, imagine making a live action Batman the Animated Series. Batman the Animated Series is so brilliant. Imagine AIing that into live action, right? These are the type of possible, you know, uses of AI that I get really excited for, right? And I think these are fun ways to integrate it. And I'm not saying it's all, you know, sunshine and daisies. There are big concerns about AI. We started this, you know, subject with it. And so it's all going to be down to how we use it. And there are ways to use it that can protect, ensure people's jobs and create new jobs into the future if it's done right. And there are some fun things you can do with it. So I've mentioned that I have an upcoming novel, right? And the novel was not written with AI, and 100%. Let this be the forecast and prediction. Right?
Probably are going to claim that it is, though.
They're going to claim that it is. People, all of my critics or everything will claim that it's written with AI, even though this has taken several years to write. And I've already proven I can write a full novel without AI because Shadow the Conqueror came out before these tools were even available. But you know, people have even claimed Shadow the Conqueror was written with AI. No joke. And that's only because I'm not afraid of AI, and I admit that there are fun uses. Now, in terms of AI being used to help with proofreading, I think that's a brilliant tool, right? And the editing process. But I have found that it can't write well enough, or even in my style. And the other thing, I enjoy the act of writing and so this is the whole thing where people have been trying to say that AI is terrible because it's going to stop people. Art will be destroyed. People will no longer make art because AI can do it for it. I'm like, hang on. We've had the camera for ages, and that didn't stop people from painting portraits still, because there are people who just love the craft and process. People who don't love the craft or process, but still want to make their, you know, artistic vision come to life, they'll use AI to do it. And I think all power to them.
And look, just because like a new medium for our artistic expression comes along doesn't necessarily mean that the older ones become immediately obsolete. Yes. I mean, look at you can digitize 10,000 songs onto your phone. That doesn't mean people stopped liking vinyl. When, if anything, some of the older physical media ends up coming back. My son collects vinyls, which is, my son's like 19. It's weird. And like you said, the camera came along, doesn't mean people stop drawing. And I don't know where I was going with that, but you kind of get the idea, right? Like, it's
okay.
Inevitably somebody will find a way to use AI in a way that is much more palatable. Besides, here's a 10-second clip of a transformer perpetually transforming, or, you know, nonsense like that. But you've got to keep your eyes on the prize. Okay. Shad, Lit Dev, stay with me here. The Lord of the Rings, starring Stone Cold Steve Austin.
As Frodo.
Oh, hell yeah.
As Frodo Baggins.
I don't know about that one. Yeah, you haven't sold me on that one, mate.
I was thinking of an Aragorn.
Macho Man Randy Savage as Sam.
Yes.
Oh, brother, I can't carry the ring, but I sure can carry you. Oh, yeah.
Saruman says he's turned to the dark side, and Hogan goes, that doesn't work for me, brother.
I mean, I don't think I'd have, like, lots of huge appeal, but for your personal level that you would just get a kick out of the meme for the fun factor, I think that's brilliant. Make what people will have the power to just make what they want for fun, and I'm like, that's awesome. There are other uses of AI that I think are just so damn cool that I don't know. I feel like people are missing out. So, as I was already mentioning it. I have an upcoming novel. The first draft is complete, and so one of the things that I've been doing with AI, and I'll be very upfront and public about this, is I'm going to be making a visual companion to release with the book as an optional additional purchase, which is going to show the characters from the novel, right? And I'm going to be using AI to make some of the best quality kind of images I can. And I haven't decided on the style, but I want to show you the main character. So this is the main character of my upcoming novel that I've made with AI tools. And this is not just AI tools, a lot of digital illustration. So this is more accurately called an AI assisted artwork, right? But the fact that I can use these tools to achieve this result, and now I'm seeing my character in like near live action, for me as a writer, as a creator, this just fills me with such excitement. Like, and so this is it. This is kind of like a character reveal. I was thinking maybe I should hold off before revealing it. It's close to the book release, but this is like, I guess, a teaser, a sneak peek of the main character. But this is the main character. Exclusive first look of the main character for my upcoming novel. His name, Volric Moraine. And this is him right here. And damn, man, I'm like, as a writer, like that is, I look at this and this is like, this is my character. This is the main character from my book. And it's like, oh, that looks so freaking cool for me. I don't like everyone, but the thing is, right? People who hate AI will see this and just say it's AI slop out of the gate, right? And it's like, if you could remove your bias and see, and I know for me as a creator, I get more of a buzz out of this, right? I just get, like, I got Honor Guard, the castle in the background, and the things that I was able to do with AI, like, look, do you guys see the pattern in his logo right here, right? And then there's even a pattern on his surcoat and his sword. So I designed that sword. I made a 3D model of that sword, right? And then I was able to integrate it into the image. And then I can have this as an author where I have like such a cool picture of my character, Volric. It's just like, that just, I get so excited with my ability to do stuff like this with AI tools. And now, as an optional thing, my fans is going to have an option to get a visual companion with awesome, high quality, high resolution images, right? Of the characters of the book that I hope that they fall in love with. And there'll be scenes from the book I'll be able to depict with this. I'll be able to show the internal layout of Honor Guard, the castle, because I've modeled it fully in 3D and bring it into AI. And I'm going to be able to do so much fun things with my new book release with the help of AI tools that I never would have been able to do. And I would not have the money to commission artists to make a visual companion because it would cost over like near $100,000, right?
Now, here's the important question, Shad.
Yeah.
Who can win in a fight, him or the main character of Shadow of the Conqueror?
Oh, Dalen would absolutely destroy him at this point.
He is a grandmaster.
Dalen is very powerful. But this character is going to go on an arc, and he discovers abilities and powers throughout the story. And so he does get stronger. And then the question will be at the end of the story, who could win? That one might be a bit more up for debate. But I'm excited for it. And then if people don't like it, I mean, they don't need, it's an optional additional purchase. Okay. I've already commissioned the artist to make the cover art for my upcoming book, and that will be a human artist. And it's going to be the same artist as my, like, Chris McGrath, legend, such a good artist. And I find it interesting where, because I love AI tools, people say I'm against art and artists and I'm an enemy and stuff like that. And I'm like, I have commissioned and hired and spent more money on human artists than most of these critics would do in their lifetime. And I'm not kidding, right? Mike S. Miller, our co-host here, who's not here this week, is under the weather, unfortunately. Like, he's the artist for the Shadow of the Conqueror graphic novel. And yes, of course I paid him for it, right? And that's not cheap. He's a great artist. And then also the commission work for the cover art. And like, I've spent in the order of like over $100,000 with human artists and continuing to do so. I love AI tools, and I'm still supporting artists when I can and have the money for it, because I love human art as much as AI art. I just love good art. I'm like, bring it on, bring it all. I think it's awesome. And then there are just such, like, I don't know. I wish I could translate the buzz you get as as an author, as a creator, when you see your characters brought to life in any way, and seeing like a near, it isn't complete photorealistic, but it's like such a detailed image of my main character like that. Oh, I get such a thrill. I get, it's just a fun thing. So, but that's me. I'm an AI shill, people say.
But you've got some flack for it too, for in a lot of spaces. But
dude, heaps.
I've noticed as time has gone on that, you know, AI has like the intense vitriol that came out for AI at the original onset is kind of waning in a lot of like normie-ish circles. There's a lot of people who have clung to being anti-AI to an almost cultish extent, and it's starting to really kind of affect people's perception of the anti-AI camp, and that in that it's such a purity test.
Oh yeah.
Whereas, you know, you see in a lot of people end up using AI just even in a lot of innocuous ways and coming up with you know, stuff. Sometimes it's slop, sometimes it's genuinely something interesting or something funny. There's a AMSR channel I see on my Facebook feed that it's just all it is AI of things that are not supposed to be spread on toast being poured on the toast and spread on it, like cubes of metal, and a little spoon smushes it down and spreads over it. Today I saw cubes of denim, you know, like denim jeans being spread over something, and I was like, this is so fascinating. All these weird things they come up with to do this with.
Mm-hmm. This is an interesting
Bayou Bomber, good friend of mine.
Yeah, anti-AI cultures have come full circle to attacking their own. They accuse real artists of using AI. It's a joke. Yeah, 100%. And there's something else cool I want to show you guys about this image, right? I forgot to show you. So, like, the other great fun thing about AI is it's so easy and intuitive to make edits and stuff like that. And so I was like, all right, for the character, you know, portrait and stuff, you want to see his face, but when he's in combat, he's wearing a helmet. And so now I go like, okay, that's this helmet right there. And I could use like a direct historical reference and get it accurately. It's a Spalito bassinet helmet. And then I'm like, well, what would he look like in his casual dress? Well, first, like, let's take off the armor, and that's his like sparring everyday outfit, where it's just got his surcoat over his chainmail and his regular kind of sparring gloves and stuff. So, all right, but what about, like, you know, take his gloves off? What about his just normal dress everyday outfit? And look at that, like, and so it's like a brocaded kind of more formal, noble shirt underneath his surcoat with you know, fancier kind of boots and stuff. And you can do that. Like, I just love that you can do this. So I can now show the character in their different outfits throughout the book. And I'm working on the female protagonist, and she has two very distinct outfits that she wears that I'll be able to show you. This is what this one looks like. This is what that looks like. This is what the main character looks like. It is full combat, you know, ready, get up. And I'm like, that's so cool, man. Sorry. All right,
now what would he look like as an orc?
I could do it. I could actually
do it. Sorry, I'm a little
biased.
Now, what would he look like as Ellen Page?
So I got to give credit to one of the new AI models that is just like enabling me to, you know, reach such awesome results like this. And it's called Flux to Klein. It's so powerful, man, what you can do with this new model. And one of the things that it can do is it's photorealistic kind of rendering is really, really good. And then not only can you do like incredible photorealistic kind of stuff, you can do style transfer. And so I'm not locked into the style. And the style transfer is actually can be pretty darn good. Let me see if I can show you a style transfer. Look, maybe not everyone as interested as this is me. I just find it really, really cool. But the style transfer, some of it is legit, right? Oh, here it is. Because I actually posted this on Twitter to see what people thought about which style they preferred, and I was interested in the results of this one. And so I'm not sure if that has come up for you guys. Let me add it to the stage. So you've got the more realistic style in the center, right? But then you can do it to like a digital kind of oil painting. And the one that people really like, I liked, is this illustrative style. I thought that was great. And so, and oh, there's a new oil painting one I can't wait to, and there's also anime as well. And so realistic, illustrated anime. But the people were saying the illustrated style looked really, really good. And I kind of agree with them. I'm like, yeah. And so I'm wondering about doing the visual companion in this more illustrated kind of one.
I can tell you, as a fantasy reader, a fantasy fan, one thing I always like is having a visual companion of some sort to
isn't it fun? Yeah,
to kind of help know what the characters look like. Theater of the Mind's great and everything, but having that kind of thing to fully visualize what characters, places, kind of paints a better picture, I think. And that's just me. Like in the original Dragonlance books, they had just that little bitty sketch.
Yes, I love that.
That would
that's
be
right.
at the top of each chapters. And like if you wanted to, Shad, you could like take the designs, kind of run them through and fill it and say, make it look like a pencil sketch, in a journal of some sort. That was something I kind of thought would be interesting in my own books if I ever had, but I didn't know if I didn't know which direction I was going to go in with that, but just wasn't able to implement it. I can tell you this looks a little better than Grok. I have Grok, the app, because I have the Premium Plus thing. And it's interesting in some ways, but it's retarded in other ways. And it takes
Grok
a lot
can
of
be really good,
around.
but it struggles with high resolutions and other style focuses. And so this Flux 2 Klein model is actually shockingly powerful in terms of it can doing higher resolutions up to 2000 by 2000 pixel size images, which is crazy. And then it's image editing capacity, especially with style enhancement, making things photorealistic, like adding the patterns, right? I was able to do that after. And so the initial one of the base beginning images for this, see how this one is like plain and doesn't have the patterns? I was able to use this model and add the patterns, with direction and correct prompting and correct in painting to get, from that to that. And I just love it. I just get a kick out of it.
It is. It can do a lot. It can do quite a bit.
Yeah. It's incredible. And there are now styles that, like, especially this illustrated one, right? Because I'll be trying to pay attention to detail, that I could not tell if that was AI, honestly. Like there's no, like, AI sometimes have this kind of plasticky sheen where it's getting to the point now where it has some of the styles where you just can't tell. People will now assume everything I do is AI because they won't be able to tell otherwise. But I will be completely honest and upfront of what is AI and what isn't, because one, I'm not ashamed of using AI, and two, I've already shown that my book, for instance, is all handwritten. Okay, and if it was AI, I'd happily tell people, because like I care about the quality overall is my main thing. But damn, it's getting good. It's getting really good. Sorry. Thank you for indulging me, gentlemen. That was a fun one where, there's a couple of new topics coming my feed, but let's shift to another topic, which is like, it's depressing. This is a bit of a depressing topic. All right, gentlemen.
By the way, Shad, before we move on, speaking of AI, I had fun with this. I got so I read Harry Potter. I read the entire Harry Potter series now. And I also like John Wick. And, after Harry Potter graduates Hogwarts or whatever, he becomes an Auror. So his career is hunting down dark wizards. So I was like, what if we just did that, but I combine it with John Wick? And so, like, here's Harry Potter, the Chamber of Death, the Medusa contract, Order of the Hex.
Cool, like, I'm on board. That is wicked.
Of course, he's going to have a wand and a gun. I think it's only appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's one area where we naturally as men would have come up with that conclusion, because it makes sense. Harry Potter would become an Auror, right? Let me Harry Potter nerd out for a second. If you read the plot of The Cursed Child that J.K. Rowling wrote for that play, it's abhorrent. It's atrocious. I'm glad she didn't make another book based on that plot line. And I think it's even non-canon at this point, but that makes sense. Imagine being a dark wizard and you're hearing the Auror that's hunting you down is the guy that took out Voldemort. Like, why wouldn't you turn yourself in at that point? But that is not the direction that Rowling would take. Like, but it makes sense to us because we're guys. It's such a weird dichotomy between, you know, the female brain and the male brain. Like we see which way we would go with it, and you come up with that, and that's a great concept. This, I imagine if you showed it to J.K. Rowling, she would probably just shake her head.
It's a pity. There's something there, though. There's something there. Harry Potter, as you know,
that's exactly where I was speaking to. Like, okay, you made him an R. Let's do it. All right, let's get him. Let's get him the bad guys. Let's get him this fighting dark wizards. That's pretty awesome. Like, I like that part. That's let's see here. I got what?
That's a whole series, man. That could be done.
I was working on it. It's like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Death, Harry Potter and the Order of the Hex. So I think that's pretty fitting titles.
I love it.
I mean, it's no different than what a lot of female fan fiction authors have done, where they come up with a fan fiction based on their favorite franchise, and then they just name change a bunch of stuff later. That's how we got Twilight. That's how we got.
Oh no! Hang on, not Twilight. It's how we got 50 Shades of Grey from Twilight.
That's it. Oh, okay. My bad.
I will defend Twilight, sir.
That's right. I was thinking it was a fanfic of Twilight. Yes. There's been other stuff like that. I know there's one coming out. I forgot the name of it, but it's basically a fan fiction of a what if Hermione Granger situation. And do
you want to know how Twilight was inspired? It's not too bad. It was a dream. It was a dream. Stephanie Meyer had a dream about a vampire and a young woman. Was it in a meadow or something like that? But like they were, I don't know, in a relationship, and the vampire wanted to eat her, but was in love with her and didn't. And she woke up from that dream and thought, that could make a great story.
It's a good story.
And then we got Twilight. Inspired by a dream, which you could almost say means it was inspired by God.
My God.
I'll defend Twilight as well. I read it way back in the day. I was going to the bookstore, and there was a line of girls outside. And they go, "We're reading the new Twilight book." I'm like, what in the hell is Twilight? And why is there a line for it? It's not the worst book I've ever read. And not a terrible idea either. I wasn't a big fan of the execution, but again, it's the difference between a female writer and a male writer, you know.
It is. I respect Twilight a lot as one of the best examples of female-coded literature that understands its target audience really well. And there are weird things in it, don't be wrong. And there are problems with Twilight, but then there are other really cool kind of things part of it as well. And also wholesome things. The ultimate message of Twilight is almost pro-life, anti-abortion, and traditional marriage, and that the man needs to step up and protect his family and his wife, and all of that, right? And there's actually some underlining interesting philosophy behind Twilight between masculine roles and feminine roles and stuff like that. And I actually enjoyed the whole superpower aspects of it, right? And she did it really well, that she foreshadowed there was something special about Bella that was going to come out when she became a vampire, and her power then being the key to save them to fight the Volturi was brilliant. That's actually really fun, all right? I'm on record for saying I like Twilight, and here are some of the reasons why. But hey, we also got the author in the chat saying thanks for the shout out, John, and you are very welcome, sir. Good to see you.
Of Twilight, that's awesome.
Of Relentless Blades.
By the way, I got one more to show you, Shad.
Oh, bring it on.
I wasn't done. I gave him his John Wick cat, Ve Victus. Woe to the conquered.
I love it. I actually love it.
Do not give me the keys to Harry Potter, because this is what I'm going to do with it.
That would be brilliant. I was like, no, Lintem is the guy to give it. It could go so hard, man. And it's just like Harry Potter as the, evil wizard hunter. He's just badass and ready to.
I might be out of spells, but I'm not out of shells.
I took down Voldemort. Do you think I can't take down you? And just
way too much testosterone for J.K.
Could you imagine those serious action flicks, but they have Harry Potter names like Mundungus or something like that? Are you knock? Hello? Are you Mundungus Fudge? Yes. You're under arrest by the order of the Ministry of Magic. They start John Wick fighting. They're pretty awesome.
I would love it. But now we need to get onto a depressing topic. gentlemen, the degeneracy in society seems to like going off a cliff. You know, they're celebrating abortions and they promote it everywhere. And then, you know, pornography is going rampant. But one of the worst parts of the, I guess, commercialization and extremity that pornography is going to is OnlyFans. I think OnlyFans is horrible for both the people making it and the people consuming it. I think it creates a very predatory kind of feedback loop where you got simps going after it. I think it ruins the women's lives that do it. And holy crap, the regret of so many women that go into OnlyFans and post explicit pictures of themselves. And then, you know, they can't move past it. It's on there forever. And they get kind of shocked and surprised that most average men find it kind of disgusting. Yeah, and they think that there's these simps that go after it. But when they try and get into a normal relationship and the guys find out that these, you know, women did OnlyFans, they just like, you're dumped. No, I'm not interested. Like, have you seen some of those text message exchanges of, you know, the guys finding out that these, you know,
they're not actually talking to them. They're talking to like some Indian guy or something.
Well, there's that. That's another aspect of it. But no, when the guys find out that these girls have been done OnlyFans and the guys just dump them straight away. And you're like,
an insta leave red flag. Exactly.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Guys they're not into it. And they might think that, there are so many simps consuming it online. It's like, most guys actually want something a bit more wholesome. They're not into.
It's kind of like they'll consume the porn, but they don't want to date the porn.
It seems like that, and that's like a pretty standard thing. Then you will have more people conservative like me that are like, you know, how about avoid
it's the Madonna whore complex. Like like a man will sleep with like 100 whores, but he doesn't want to marry the whore. Like he wants to marry the Madonna. Like he wants to marry someone that's respectable, someone who has like who takes care of themselves, who has respect for themselves, who has morals about, you know, she could do this, but she doesn't. That's the guy that's the woman that the guy wants to marry. Now he'll sleep with a bunch of whores if he has the opportunity to.
Hashtag not all men.
Yeah, but doesn't want to marry the whore. You know, he'll never want to marry the. So that's kind of the whole idea of like you don't give it away too quickly because he won't respect you, because it comes down to the Madonna whore complex.
Yeah. Now I think what you're saying there does speak to a more general, you know, reality.
Yeah.
But there are men just like me who I was full abstinence before marriage, right? I did not have sex before marriage. In actual fact, that was such a personal commitment, and it's a religious commitment for me, right? Is that I knew dating, the purpose of dating was to find the woman I wanted to marry, not to hook up. And so I never dated to try and hook up. And so I would go on dates, and I went on many, and, you know, it didn't take long for me to figure out if they're marriage material or if they're the type of person I'd want to marry. And so a lot of these girls dated a couple of times. They were lovely. But it's like, they're not the one, moving on. And so as a result, I never got as close to a woman to have a type of like intimate relationship, to the point where the first woman, and this is how much of an advocate I am for abstinence before marriage. The first woman I ever kissed ended up being my wife. Okay. And now she is the only woman I ever kissed. You're the same there, John?
Very much the same. Yes. I wish I could say I made it to marriage. We got married 4 years after we started dating, but we have been together since 1999. And I very much agree with that. I was never of the mentality that of sleeping around. And it was, I guess, in a lot of it because my faith-based upbringing, just that I wanted to be with one individual woman at some point. And like you, I went through a couple of several dates. Actually, they were really rough first dates. So for some reason, I wound up finding first dates with girls that I just did not click with, no matter how much it seemed like I would click with them. And this was something I genuinely prayed about. I prayed, God, please, I want to find the person that I want to be with. And it was not but a few months after that I made that very specific prayer. After I made that prayer after a bad first date too, that I wanted someone to spend my life with. And he thankfully came around, and I ended up meeting my wife, and we've been together ever since. And it's, back then, you got to remember, this is the 90s, guys. Like, the mentality of the 90s was like, if you haven't scored or kissed a girl by the time you're 18, you're a loser virgin forever, right? Like that, the social status of your virginity kind of in a way, it kind of mattered in the social standings back in, going back
it's
from the
pushed more
70s to
now.
the 90s.
Now even more so, they vilify people who are virgins and the whole incel. You're an incel now,
right,
as this derogatory slur. When guess what? Some guys choose it. All right, this whole idea that it only goes one way. That there is this stigma around women that sleep around, and that men are free to sleep. Like some men, right, choose abstinence as well as the more wholesome option. We're the examples for it, but we are the exceptions to the norm, I would say there.
Yeah.
And the it almost seems like it's the commercialization of being a whore is OnlyFans is empowering that and sending it to the stratosphere. So much so that people who might have never considered anything like, turns out a lot of Hollywood celebrities are now deciding to do OnlyFans. Have you come across this trend?
Yeah, I've seen this a lot. This and the ones that are even more disturbing are online influencers or streamers who got kind of big before they turned 18, hitting the OnlyFans the day they turned 18 and making like $1 million over $1 million in the course of a weekend, which is to me is disgusting and creepy and kind of shows who they were catering their audience to. Jamie Presley, God, I don't go to OnlyFans. I don't know what they're doing on there, whether it's explicit or if it's just a bunch of lingerie pictures. But it's like, this is like, to me, the final cash in. Like if you were gonna do this, why didn't you say go for a play? In the old days, they used to go for a Playboy spread, right? That was quick, easy, dirty money for female celebrities.
Honestly, like a female celebrity that takes their kit off in film, kind of on near, it's approaching OnlyFans level. OnlyFans, they can commercialize it far more, but this one, like this is actually far more prevalent than I realized, where this one gives a thread. And so I don't know many actresses by name, but they're saying Jessie Cave, Bella Thorne, Carmen Electra, Denise Richards, Drea D'Amato, Chloe Cherry, Jessie Cave, Megan, like the list is just continuing. It's like, that's depressing. It's just,
if you're going to use your celebrity in a streaming kind of a manner, why wouldn't you like just go on YouTube and just talk? Like if you're a celebrity, it seems like that would be like easy money for them. I mean, shoot, even
here's the thing.
Brie Larson did it, and it was AstroTurf, but it got attention.
There's a thing called female privilege. Hey, if they're gonna try and say there's male privilege, like when I see like women who are struggling to have a career and get jobs and everything like that, and then there's like, well, I could just post stuff online without much effort at all and get all this money. It's like, strikes me of a bit of a lazy, cheap kind of alternative that I'm not sure all men have that option.
No.
Have you seen those memes where it's like the guy saying like, me getting up to do my second job for the day, so to barely afford rent. Meanwhile, all these women are making millions of dollars at 18. But the men are privileged. Okay.
Exactly, right? So no, there is actually, like, if there's male privilege, there's definitely female privilege, but no one likes to talk about that. And look,
can you list like what areas and what ways I can exploit my male privilege? Like I want to do that. I don't want to feel bad for it. I want to use it. Where can I use it?
Give us some tips, honestly. We can use it all. But look, OnlyFans is the most extreme example of that, by the way, where an attractive female, right, just gets so much more attention than your average guy, even an averagely attractive woman. And a perfect example are a lot of like these successful female streamers, where if you actually listen to the sophistication of their commentary, it's vapid. It's completely just void of anything of substance. And honestly, like, I've listened to many, not many. They come across my feed, and I hear these comments from Pokimane, and I wonder, why the hell does anyone even listen to what this woman says? Nothing is like interesting, insightful, or anything. And look, I kind of have a standard where any woman who is not my wife is unattractive to me. That's a standard every married man should hold, right? And so, of course, Pokimane is not attractive to me. But even if I was trying to separate my standard, I think she's nothing special. Makeup is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. But even that is enough to, it seems like she gets a lot of her success and attention from, let's just call it female privilege. I think just a moderately attractive woman, even doing average kind of, stuff, just seems to have much higher chances of success, it seems like, than a lot of guys. Guys have to rely on more often than not. I'm not saying there are, exceptions. More often than not, guys do have to rely on their talent and skills.
The thing that's equally sad to me are the extreme simps that support them, that the massive whales that give so much money to a lot of these creators. And you see them occasionally. This happened very recently. Occasionally will actually go somewhere and actually meet their OnlyFans people that they've given thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to, and these girls treat them with like a hot dog and a handshake, right? That's all.
Like the tiniest little bit of acknowledgement. And look, that's the other depressing side to the OnlyFans crap, right? It's not just the girls that do it and how it's so like, it's lazy, it's cheap, it's also degenerate, all right? And so that's a problem, but so many men that are suckered into it, right, are also the problem, okay? And they give away so much money.
They had a guy very recently on video. They showed he was meeting the OnlyFans girl. This guy had given her a amount of over $1 million over the years supporting her. And she gave him the weakest handshake and thank you could imagine. And it's like you could have given that to a wife out there, buddy.
I know, like there's a lot of women who I think would have given you a lot more attention. And I'm not saying pay for women or anything like that, but there is that traditional, masculine role of providing and paying for the date and stuff like that. And so
it also goes to show the dangers of parasocial relationships through social media. That's another aspect to it as well. That dopamine rush of I gave her $100. She says my name in a sweet voice. Like my wife says my name in a sweet voice, and I don't have to give her any money. She takes the money, but that's not the point. That's not the point I'm trying to make. There's a lot more to that exchange. I'm just going to shut up now.
No. Just on that note, right? My wife has been brilliant this last week. I've opened this stream telling you about that. I've just been laid out from filming that big filming day last week, right? And my wife saw the effort I put in and she's just been wonderfully supportive. And she knows that like I'm completely wrecked. And just that little bit of support and acknowledgement, man, it's just brilliant. It's like, it means a lot. And so my wife has just been brilliant this past week. Find a good women, guys, and support her. And the wonderful, wholesome exchange is just so good. And so, like I said, OnlyFans, it just seems to be getting worse at this point. It's getting worse. Even former celebrities are cashing in on it because it's such a easy cash cow for them to milk. And there are so many sad guys giving away way too much money for this crap. But do you know what's going to be the death of OnlyFans? We've talked about it this stream. AI. AI. And I'm not saying this is a good thing.
It's not that much different.
It's not that much. Well, here's the I'm against AI girlfriends, but I actually don't think they're as predatory as OnlyFans thoughts, right? Right. And so, and if AI is going to decimate a horrible industry with something that is bad, but not as bad as that, I'm like, you get what you deserve at this point. Because, AI is going to decimate OnlyFans when the technology becomes more accessible and people see what can be done. And then we have another problem to deal with. But at least, one problem will be removed, I guess. Because, the OnlyFans thought problem I actually find extremely predatory, right? Where it's taking advantage of lonely, desperate men, honestly, sucking away money and as you said, John, the slightest acknowledgement sometimes, and it's really sad. They need something more wholesome, where they'll probably be able to get it for free, and it won't be as predatory, right? With AI, and it's not the too distant future as well. It's like, but then we have another problem. And I've talked about it. I've got dedicated videos on the danger of AI girlfriends, but that is what is on the horizon, and it is what it is. Quickly, gentlemen, did you hear about the Jon Snow TV show that was that HBO was wanting to make?
Is it a Jon Snow TV show?
Yeah, well, yeah, I remember hearing that was one of the spinoffs they were working on, and it's one of the ones that didn't get canceled.
Well, on that note, so this has been one of the I don't know, but the Snow Game of Thrones sequel TV series has been in the works for a while, but just came across my feed today. It's been canceled. This one has been canceled.
Oh,
it's been canceled.
First I've heard of it.
So, well, that's the kind of news about it. Now, this is interesting because some of the Game of Thrones additional universe stuff, right? It's actually been great. Night of the Seven Kingdoms was friggin' amazing. Loved it. And I really enjoyed House of the Dragon season 1. Season 2, not as good, still enjoyable. I'm looking forward to season 3. But House of the Dragon so far is pretty darn solid, right? But Night of the Seven Kingdoms is great. And so the question was, could they have made something decent with a sequel series based around Jon Snow? I would have thought no, because it seems like the best stuff that they're able to make in the Game of Thrones universe is stuff that's based off of George's work. And the more closely they make it to George's work, the better it is. Night of the Seven Kingdoms was very, very faithful, and it was brilliant. This was going to rely on all new stuff, new writers and everything. And already
with the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones with that, because they didn't have George's, they only had his cliff notes to work off of. They had to make everything up themselves.
Yeah.
And howdy did it really show.
It really did. Like when left to their own devices, my confidence in them making something good is not high. In fact, it's very low. And it turns out that kind of was the case with is it Kit Harington? Is he the actor? And so this is the information. It says the Game of Thrones sequel series called Snow has been definitely cancelled, thanks in large part to Kit Harington, who didn't mince words when it came to sharing his opinions on why he decided to walk away from the project.
Before we hear this, Shad, let's put this out there and kind of bring other folks into the context of Kit Harington, because this guy, I'm sorry, is a massive vagina. This guy has been on record stating he hates traditionally masculine roles. He thinks masculinity is toxic. He hated taking roles that shoehorned him into a masculine heroic role, even though that was his role on the show. Because he was, and a lot of it comes from the fact that he was raised by a single mom, and he credits his mom with almost everything. Like this mama's boy, I'm sorry to say, is not a Chad. Okay. Having said that,
I didn't know that.
I have a feeling I know what he's going to end up saying.
Well, it's kind of related, kind of not. Because even before we get into reading the reasons why, right? Just a series based around Jon Snow after Game of Thrones, that's a difficult thing to draw. Like, what are you going to a show of him moping about north of the Wall doing random crap? Like the White Walkers, are they still a threat? Are they going to be around? Is the Great Looming Threat? Like the only thing that really
be the north or something.
Exactly, right? The only thing that could really be properly interesting, right, is if he decides to go on a massive conquest invasion to take the throne that he should have taken in the first place, and he gave up accidentally, and it's like him versus his brother or something like that, right?
Which that would kind of negates the ending that he had in Game of Thrones, which in turn negated his entire character arc in the entire show. But I mean, since when does HBO even give a rat's ass about the legacy of a character's motivations? They made the Watchmen TV show based off of the comic book, and that completely undid every single character's motivations that they had in the comics and why they made the decisions they did. So I wouldn't doubt that HBO would create something that was that contradictory to establish lore and characterization. But I'm kind of glad to see this go the way, because I'm like you. I don't see where this could have gone or why. What you just described was something. It sounded something like
something would be something. Yeah,
right. But at the same time,
like outside of that,
I don't want it.
well, yeah, like McQueen. I miss McQueen. Something like. But it turns out what they were kind of thinking, right, was just him moping around doing stuff. And so, and if that's the case, well, yeah, I could see why they decide not to go. And this is what they say. So, and it wasn't for lack of budget, nor because HBO suddenly lost interest. It was a conscious decision after years of development, right? It has been like around for a bit, this, supposed show. Neither he nor the writers team could find a story that truly excited them and justified returning to Westeros. It's like, you don't say. There's not much to work with unless you go something really like balls to the walls. So here's a rundown, right? HBO was the one who first pitched the idea to him. This is that actor. His initial reaction was no, but then he saw potential in exploring Jon as a soldier after war, a broken man, dealing with post-traumatic stress, living amongst the wildlings north of the wall, darker and more personal story. That sounds boring as hell.
They don't, as it is boring. Write one story. Every single story where it's about the warrior guy, it always has to be PTSD. Yeah, he's a broken man. I mean, that's like every single soldier guy they make. These
and not all of them were like that. Not all of those stories end that way.
To your point, remember how you said like this guy doesn't like to play masculine roles? That boring, depressing summary of a show is the thing that he that got his interest. Is saying, right? Like, when it was initially pitched to him as that, he saw potential in exploring it. And it's like, no, that sounds awful, right? And then they spent.
It turns out only a man can initiate a son into manhood. Like, a single mother can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Obama was proof of that.
If they had a series of Jon Snow kicking ass, defeating the other houses and taking names, right? That actually there would have been something there. But they were literally saying like a post-traumatic stress, dealing with, his issues, his broken man. Hollywood love this broken man trope. They need to destroy the hero, render him down to nothing, and then have a strong woman come in and replace him.
Didn't they do that in that most recent Punisher one-shot that just got released? Like the first 12 minutes had him crying twice in a therapy session of some sort.
It was a lot of that to begin with, but it ended off. It wasn't the worst thing. It ended off with a lot of action and kicking
like I said, they know how to write one story. They have one story they tell. The post-traumatic stress disorder guy. That's it.
Yep. And heaven forbid you have like just a Chad hero that kicks ass and does the job and might even like it a little bit, but he's he controls his violence and triggers it in the right direction. Hey, I'm kind of describing my new novel. Where
who loves killing people.
The arc of my character, right? He wants to be a knight, and his first exploration of using his strength in violent ways scares him because he realizes he likes it, and it doesn't bother him. And the arc is him learning how to trigger and channel and direct his incredible capacity for violence in the right way. And so instead of this whole mopey post-traumatic, no joke, my whole story is about a guy who likes it, likes fighting, and needs to learn to channel it in the right way to defend the weak and innocent.
And now you've described one of my main characters.
You see, I'm looking forward to getting that book out, man. Okay, so they spent a couple of years developing the scripts and concepts, but nothing quite clicked. Nothing excited us. I wonder why, right? If we kept pushing, we'd end up with something that wasn't good. And that's the last thing he wanted. And so they tried to, it interested him. They tried to explore this post-traumatic, boring crap. And they're just someone who could actually look at it from a, further, broader pictures, admitted, guys, this is kind of crap. We got nothing good here. And then they're like, yeah, you're kind of right. But then he also opened up about his own burnout after season 8, which kind of goes into what you were saying before, John, as well. I was like,
why couldn't he just made a show about him walking around Westeros, getting into shenanigans and killing bad guys, whooping bad guy butt, and taming wolves and stuff?
There was enough stuff in the North that could have made it interesting. Look at what was in the North: giants, mammoths. There could have been a threat that was suppressed because the White Walkers always kept them away.
You know what could have been
They
good?
could turn him into Kratos.
Like, imagine if he came in. Yeah, imagine if he came into the north and just conquered it, like tamed the giants and established a kingdom, a new kingdom in the frozen wasteland that they carved out of the ice, right? And it becomes so strong that there ends up becoming the only kingdom that can come in and save Westeros from a new threat or something like that. Like, there's stuff you could have done if you just let awesome characters be badass and kick butt. But Hollywood hates that. Hollywood hates masculine heroes, like, and that's, you know, the reason why they emasculated James Bond and Indiana Jones and the Luke Skywalker, and the list goes on and on. The heroes from the Wheel of Time, it's just again and again,
Shad,
they've got to neuter the male heroes.
Bear with me, sir.
Yeah,
he finds the corpse of Hodor, brings him back to life, and now they have a buddy cop kind of a thing, and they call it Snowdor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out. I'll be back next week.
Yeah. So he was already burning out. He was saying he was like tired at the end of season 8 in Game of Thrones. In the end, with House of the Dragon performing so well and other projects based on Martin's work, yes, Dunk and Egg, HBO preferred not to risk forcing a continuation that could further divide the fans and tarnish the legacy. Like, with what they were planning, yeah, probably a good idea. Again, not being based off George Lucas, even with ideas we've been spitting out there, even if they were to pick up cooler ideas, right? I don't trust they have the talent to make something without, you know, a more talented writer that they're basing the work on or working with. Was it the right call? Yeah. Yeah, I actually think it was. From the sounds of it, looked like a terrible. Sorry,
I'd be
John.
willing to believe the real reason is he didn't want to work in the cold anymore. Like, because Jon Snow, he hardly ever went down south, right? He was always in like an icy field. I'm pretty sure they filmed some of that realistically in real snow in order to get that realism in there.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up switching careers because I didn't want to work in the cold anymore either. I know how he feels.
Understandable. All right. I think that's all the topics that we are short of time now. So let's catch up on these super chats. We got $10 from Jeremy the Cyborg. Said, Shad, I know you're into tabletop RPGs. Do you play Pathfinder First Edition? If so, I created racial guides compiling every player character race, published 10 volumes. 500 to 800 plus pages. Would love to send you a DM link to my mega. Unfortunately, like, I've looked into Pathfinder version 1, looked interesting, even tried to play the game a bit. But at the moment, I'm just not playing enough RPGs at the moment to justify it. But if anyone is interested in it, check it out. Check him out. Awesome stuff. Then we got Q for $10 says, progressivism is a religious movement. It is the opposite of Christianity. Abortion is good. Childbearing is oppression. Anarchy is pure. Civilization is evil. Progressive is Satanism by another name. Yeah. I mean, like, the things that they push for, right? Okay. If you want to look at it, yeah. Random unbreaded commentator, $5 says, got to watching Gundam Wing after you mentioned and realized it's a demonstrative warning about the dangers of allowing liberal white women into politics. So I am rewatching Gundam Wing, and if you're talking about Relena, you might have a point.
Kill me already. Which essentially boils down to what they want. It's really what it boils down to, like them, you know, trying to get Muslims and stuff over here, just Islam everywhere, the Sharia law. They want Sharia law. Just kill me already. Especially the state mentality.
My God, you see what some women in power do in the modern era, and you start to realize why so many societies in the past did so much to curtail having women in power.
I'm going to just leave that.
And that's not just my opinion. My wife is way more vehemently against it. If she had her way, the 14th Amendment would be repealed.
I mean, traditionally, if you go back, it was women that wanted men in power just as much as men, because they could see that men could do it really, really well. And when it comes to the big conflicts that can arise in large scale, you know, leadership and leading a country and stuff, they could see that men have some natural, you know, abilities that can handle it quite well. And by the way, men, this is more fundamental psychology stuff that I've done studies on. men are more disagreeable than women, which means that they're able to handle risk negotiations and conflict like quite well as a result. And that's just
I mentioned
fundamental
my
psychology.
wife, and she walked into the room and is sitting there staring at me.
You get what you deserve. Nathan Cassidy for 1999. Thank you, man. Our wonderful mod in chat says, I fully blame George R. R. Martin for the current state of fantasy. I get what you're saying. They're kind of like in the more nihilistic, abandonment of the traditional hopeful heroism stuff. Now, George does do heroism, but it's almost the exception than the norm. Everybody I knew that didn't like fantasy gleefully jumped on board that train because the parts they launched into were the true crime and the sex elements and stuff. Yeah, George has a bit of an issue with Tolkien. In fact, good old Sargon, Carl Benjamin, has a great video entitled "What is Tolkien's Tax Policy?" or something like that, critiquing George's comments on him. You're getting some background noise there, John, as well.
Oh, sorry.
And then Foe, pause, Q, for $5 says, it is no coincidence that Wizards of the Coast destroyed Dragonlance right before they organized major push into wokeness across all media. Yeah. Dragonlance is awesome, and I remember like some classic parts of Dragonlance. There is actually like a wholesome abstinence. Do you remember the character Caramon? He was the barbarian guy.
Oh, yes.
And I think the girl that he falls in love with, her name was
Tika.
Tika.
Tika, the busty bartender.
Yep. But when their relationship starts to develop, something kind of happens and he freaks her out a bit, and then I think it's Moonglow pulls him aside and gives him a bit of a lecture saying you might want to calm down, and actually promotes like the benefits of abstinence before marriage and stuff. I don't know why that stands out to me, but man, Dragonlance based, and it's just great fantasy as well. Did you ever read the further on series, like the twins sequel series?
I meant to. That was about the time I was not interested in going back, right? Like I've always had an issue with prequels because when I read a story, I want the story to go forward.
This was a sequel series. The twin series was based.
I did not go past the original trilogy. I kind of regret that, but I had
pretty good.
Moved on to some other stuff.
It's pretty good.
I probably should. I'm probably due for a reread of Dragonlance.
Wrestling's whole arc is actually pretty intense, man. I need to get the audiobooks and listen to it all again. That would be fun.
Because I was a little disappointed that because we had a Dragonlance TV show in production, and it had Joe Manganiello, I forget how to pronounce his last name, who is a huge Dragonlance fan, attached to it to both like help produce it and I think even star in it in a certain role. And it ended up not coming to fruition, and I'm kind of bummed, but I'm kind of relieved because fantasy TV has not been in a great place in the last few years.
Like,
I feel like they would have not done it justice.
As great as a live action production Dragonlance would be if it was done well, this is not the time for Hollywood to try. They would butcher it. It would be a disaster. Thank you for the super chat. Nathan Cassidy 499 again says, which is why I'm working on my own fantasy book right now. Based, I have a title, working on a draft, but the main draw is this: dinosaurs and wizards. Sounds awesome, man. Yep, sounds awesome.
That's pretty good to me.
Random unbranded commentator for $2 says, let's have a bold Rob Schneider do MLK. That'll go well. Yeah, I wonder how well it'll go. Yep. Mario Trujillo, $5 says, Troy was considered meh, not bad, but not as good as everything else in the time it came out. Goes to show how good we had it had it bad in the day.
I made that observation on Twitter very recently, Shad, that the slop now is so bad that slop from yesteryear is actually light years more entertaining.
No joke. That's true. That is absolutely true. Yeah. Like just the average stuff is a masterpiece compared to the crap today. Thank you for the super chat. And then Wally Muna for member for 37 months. Thank you, man. Says, hello, sir. Did you see my message about making a gambeson with multiple layers of jeans cloth? Could be for the series on surviving the apocalypse. I did not see it. I don't have any memory of seeing that, actually. But that could work, actually. Jeans, it's coarse, it's thick. That could work. That is an interesting thought. I might have to explore it more. And then random unbranded commentator for $2 says, by the way, Shad, good movie in theaters right now. MSG Hathaway? What's that one? MSG Hathaway. Why is that tickling my memory? I don't know it now. Chat, you might need to help us out. But okay, good movie, MSG Hathaway. Zebamaru $5 says, Shad, you should watch the anime Shimoseka. I won't lie, it's extremely fan service. It's not a selling point for me. However, and I'm serious, it's probably the most important anime. One of 3. I go, all right, let's continue. It's about a police state cracking down on speech, expression, art, literature, forcing people to wear collars and monitor what they say, write down. And then he says the main character gets dragged into an organization that fights against them by drawing lewd pictures and distributing them out. It has amazing social commentary. That's the weird thing about
that's kind of true to life because, so far, making lewd art has become a form of protest in real life.
It is weird.
Lewd straight art.
Exactly. I was going to say that the left love degeneracy if it promotes anything that is not heteronormative. But if there is any type of sexualized promotion of heteronormative relationships, then they have an issue with it. And it seems like that's why they hate because a lot of anime seems to try and promote heteronormative relations. We talked about that.
I think they call it het slop or something.
Gosh.
I like the idea that everyone is looking to say, oh, so the way I recommend an anime to Shad is if it has fan service in it.
That's not a great start. Not a great start. But the thing is, though, I can tolerate it if it ends up being good enough. Darling in the Franxx, actually, the fan service disappeared, and it was just like a really intriguing sci-fi, world setting kind of story. Not executed perfectly, but pretty darn based towards the end. I was like, there you go. Man, we don't have time, but Litdev, I want to talk to you about another anime I watched, which is kind of fun. Have you heard of Let This Grieving Soul Retire?
I don't think so.
Okay, I need to have a whole segment talking about Let This Grieving Soul Retire because that's a fun anime that actually plays with flipping certain tropes on its head, with having a useless main character, but is also extremely competent while useless. It's fun. It's fun. So I can actually recommend Let This Grieving Soul Retire. That was all right. Lady Fossilot, $5 says, an anime I recommend, Observation Log of My Fiancée, Who Calls Herself a Villainess. It follows the OG source manga. Litdev can provide a review. Do you know this one, Litdev?
I started watching it. It's essentially it's your typical villainous anime to begin with, where she reincarnates as a villainess and then is like, okay, well, I'm going to become a villainess so that you can dump me and get with the main heroine. So like she wants to follow the role of the game so that the prince that she likes can have a happy life. And so as far as she knows, to get there, she has to be this villainess. But she's a good person and is tough. And so she starts predicting all these things like, oh, there's going to be like a plague and everything and all of this. And like she's just discussing it with this prince who by and large is a Mary Sue. Like he's just this smart, good at everything. He just instantly cures diseases and is like the best, smartest guy ever. And so that's kind of essentially his role. But he's just so good at everything that he's kind of bored with life. But she becomes the one thing that is interesting to him. but he becomes so interested in her that he actually just not only ignores the heroine, but is like every time he sees the heroine, he's like, yeah, kick her out of here. She's suspicious. Because the thing is, the heroine is also, I think, a person who has come back and knows the game too. She's like, oh well, I'm going to be here so that I can meet the prince. And so she's just frustrated that the prince is just completely ignoring her. And he's trying to like kick her out and get her arrested and stuff like that. This person's creepy. Get out of here.
All right. I might give it a look. I've started a new anime actually that's not completed. It's about a group of high school students in a sci-fi setting that get lost in space, and it's actually called something Lost in Space. Like something Lost in Space, and it's not terrible. It's like okay, and it's got some fun sci-fi stuff, and so that one is the one I'm currently checking out. Wally Muna for $20 says One of two. I was alive for all the tech controversies regarding art with computers. At first in the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, man, Photoshop and digital art. It's history repeating itself. People claimed anything made with computers was not art. Then it was everything made with Photoshop was not art. Yep. We're seeing the exact same thing, man. And then part 2 of 2, he says, and for 20 R, thank you. And now people claim anything made with AI art. AI is not art. What started the process is still the same. Human creativity. Well said. You need to imagine the thing before using the tool, and people without creativity are always jealous. Yeah, I agree 100%. And yeah, that's why I think art is art, because if it's an expression of human, artistic vision, stuff like that, yeah, I think that qualifies as art. And more so if there's more human input, but even in prompting, even the beginning there, I'm willing to give it that. But when you have more human input in manual edits and other things like that, even more so. Like the character image that I showed, right? That started with a 3D model that I then manually painted on the design of his outfit and everything like that, put in the AI and all. I've got all the process steps there, right? And so tremendous human input that and as a result, I consider that, part of human creativity. Absolutely. And then Nathan Cassidy, Fortnite says, my default answer for all the AI haters, have you seen what the humans have been making lately? Case in point, what do you think of Daredevil? Yeah. Yeah, it's like AI is also. We've got a segment where we compared an AI thing to the fight scene in Kraven the Hunter, and the Kraven the Hunter clip. That's a dedicated video now on Night's Watch, right? Looked worse than AI. It was horrible. And it's like, what's actually worse? If you really want to be honest about this, some of the crap Hollywood is making is just garbage, right? So it's not all like AI bad. And by the way, there is AI slop, but there's also human-made slop. That's what people seem to ignore. Yeah, agree 100%. And Zimamaru Fido says, also, Shimoseka has the same problem as Darling. Society was so scrubbed clean, people know nothing about sex. Despite the fan service, you'd like it. It depends on what level, man. I have a tolerance level, but then it can go overboard. And it's funny. My tolerance level, by the way, is not a distinct line. The better the anime, the higher I'm willing to tolerate, because it's, the interesting story.
I can think of at least one part of that anime that might filter you out of it. I'm not going to say it on air though.
Yeah.
Because I know what anime he's talking about.
Okay. All right. But we've come to the end of the live stream. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Been great fun as always. Dev, anything you want to mention as we're now signing off?
Right. Usual Warrior Nonsense every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Go over all kinds of nonsense of the day. Go over a lot of writing topics, a lot of stuff to explore, things like that. Working on my comic to make sure that I can finally get the script done, get it to my artist, get that started up. Hopefully soon. I got 12 pages done this weekend, so hopefully soon.
Ooh, dude. Yeah, man, like I said, I was laid out this whole week and I haven't been able to get any work done. I really want to get back onto my book. I need to get the editing done, man. The whole book is there.
Writing is 90% rewriting.
Yes, I know, right?
Kind of what it is.
You got it, bro. You got it.
I released a video about Freeran and how it possibly subverts the hero's journey. Who knows? I explain it in a way that might be interesting to a lot of people. People who did decide to watch it, because I think YouTube didn't really spread it around too well, liked it. They liked it quite a bit. They found some cool discussions from it.
Awesome. Hey, Zimamaru saying again for dollars, push past the cookie scene and you'll be fine.
Don't ask. Not on air.
The cookie scene.
Okay, I don't want to know.
You kind of don't.
Okay, all right. John, anything you want to mention as we're signing off?
Stay tuned, folks. I am waiting for my cover artist to get back the I've had the cover for the Lionheart finished for quite some time, but I wanted a different font on it, and I was so busy with the editing process of my book, which thankfully is pretty much done now. Hopefully I will have in the next week or two, I will have the cover ready to reveal and a pre-order button for people to push. I'm ready. I'm thinking that July the 4th is a good day to release a book, and that'll be the 1-year anniversary of Orc City. I feel like it's a little appropriate.
Dude. Awesome,
Park
man.
City never dies, kid.
Yep. And for me, everyone knows where I am. I'm still doing the stuff, working on, well, when I can. Like I said, laid out this whole week. Hopefully I will be able to get back into it, which I kind of am here doing the live stream. It's been heaps of fun. Love doing it. And signing off now. So we'll see everyone later. And as always, stay on watch.